The August 24th, 2023 Planning Board. We will have a roll call, please. Gloria?
Chair LaFaro.
Present.
Vice Chair Finnerty is absent. Secretary is here. Board Member Catalinato is absent. Board Member Mutu.
Present.
Board Member Neely.
Present.
And I understand Board Member Fulham will be delayed.
Right, so we do have a quorum. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Note for the record that Dennis Finnerty is here.
Right on time as usual.
Yes.
Can the record note that? Oh, no, okay.
No, yes, you are not on time.
You're not on time. Okay, so we are going to take item,
Madam Chair, may we recognize minutes?
absolutely,
We have 7:13, 7:27, and 8:2 for approval.
7/13, 7/27, and August 2nd.
Yeah,
Motion
August
to,
10th.
August
10th,
10th,
yeah,
not the 2nd.
that's correct.
10th.
Today's the 24th,
Okay, great.
so we're up
Motion
to date.
Motion to approve, that's wonderful. Motion by
I'll second.
Dennis, second by George, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? The minutes are approved. So we're going to take 9/11 first, and that is item 5.
Let me make sure. Kevin, is
everybody here?
Matthew Carmody here?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Item number 5, 9/11 Flanders Road, Flanders.
We'll just wait for our traffic consultant. The board wants, I had sent the revised report from our consultant and then the memorandum scoping from the applicant, so.
So we'll go over the documents.
Yeah.
I printed mine out, so I don't need them.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So Anthony, you want to handle this, but go over the AKRF
Well, yeah, I'd
memo?
like for the
Draft memo first.
engineer to go through his report.
Okay. Is he on Zoom?
Yeah, he is. He's on Zoom. We're just waiting for him.
Can we bring in the consultant on the application 9/11?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I'm asking him to start his video.
Okay. So Anthony, everything underlined that was highlighted on the
Yeah, so let me,
screen?
so we
Yeah.
had a meeting, our traffic consultant prepared a report, as this board knows, we went through, the board had some questions and some comments, directed AKRF to amend the report. They were so kind as to send the report with the changes highlighted, so it's easy to follow, and that's what I wanted Mr. Carmody to go over today, so the board, and then the applicant's gonna have their opportunity because they prepared a memo as well, which was forwarded to our consultant, so everyone's got all the information, so we could at least advise the applicant what they need to do.
Okay.
He's not starting his video.
He probably, did he know, Anthony, that
Yeah,
the
no,
agenda, he knew he was going to be on
I
first?
spoke to him today, yeah.
Okay. Can we give him a call?
I'm gonna send,
Send him a text?
I'm gonna send him an email.
He just left his video.
He left the Zoom?
Yeah.
He opened. He opened, I think he said.
Anthony's there waiting for the Zoom for outside consultants.
Yeah. We're waiting for ours now, so they just go to the agenda on the town's portal, and should be able to plan for it.
Thank you.
No problem.
And I did my agenda meetings by Zoom.
I'll be right.
With the team, so that was good.
Right. Karen's talking out.
Yeah, she-
Yeah, she's staying.
Yeah, do you want me to do my first two extensions and things like that while we're waiting?
Please, let's take advantage.
Here, number one, which was one Jackie's, and you might have a resolution in front of you, I apologize, but it's just a reapproval of a lot line change known as 35 and 39 Foster Avenue. It's an 857 square foot transfer on the map, not the map, the area you'll see between this property here, this property here. There's a driveway on this property, and the lot line change is really just to shift and bring this over here.
So it's a reapproval from what date?
It goes back to originally 2017, it's been reapproved once, and I'm just recommending reapproving it a second time.
For?
It's simple, it'll make it good for, well, it'll give them the reapproval, and then it starts the timeframes over, so it gives them another 6 months to get the final maps in and all the
Okay.
rest of it.
Okay.
So I would just recommend reapproving.
Can we have a motion on that? Any questions? George, motion, second by Dennis, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 4 in favor, 2 absent.
And then real quick, number 4 is 2 Hampton Avenue. It's a road abandonment in the old filed map. I could show it to you right up on this aerial here. The property actually also fronts on Castle Hill Court. Has driveway access on Hampton Avenue, private road that goes back here. They're looking to abandon the half of this road. This is Broadway. It's not necessary to provide access to this piece, which would have it through here. And the properties to the south of here have access off of Castle Hill. So this is really just to abandon the, you see what happens is if we had an old filed map that had a development section that was already approved, I could spare everybody the resolution because we could just approve them in-house, but this one doesn't.
You mean this is not in a development section?
It's not in the development section, so it's just in an old filed map, so I have to bring it. So in any case, they gave me the survey, and I'm just recommending approval of the road abandonment.
So they're taking half the road?
Half the road. The other,
Because that lot in the
What's
back's
the name?
never gonna be
What
developed, is
name?
that?
2 Hampton Avenue.
2 Hampton Avenue, that's one I'm on.
Number
Number 3.
I thought you
Yeah,
said
it's-
number
it's-
4.
It's number
You have to
3.
go up to the,
Oh, on your agenda?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And we've got to remember to say the names,
Oh,
the
For the minute.
applications,
I will.
because I had a problem last A10 meeting,
Gotcha.
watching it on Zoom.
2 Hampton Avenue, North Sea.
Yes, hi, good afternoon, Robert Fischetti for the applicant. I was just going to say that that
Could you
is
speak up,
currently...
please?
Excuse
Just
me?
speak up a little bit?
Sure.
Thank you.
That lot to the east is currently just listed as a scrub lot. It would use Hampton Avenue as it continues along for access and would probably abandon the other half to get more space as well, I would think, of this part of Broadway. Which, in this part of Broadway, dead ends right there on that lot to the, there's like a 14-acre lot to the south where it dead ends, so it wouldn't really be used for anything.
Okay, good. So our action today is just the half
It's,
of
I'm just
Broadway.
recommending approval of the road abandonment, subject to submission of the road abandonment certificate to be approved by the town attorney's
Okay.
office.
A motion on?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria and second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 4 in favor, 2 absent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Any success on the Zoom?
He keeps saying he's gonna start the video later.
He's going
All
to
right.
start the video later.
I'll just keep going now.
Okay.
We have to wait. I'll say the name, because you obviously, it's
Yeah.
Hampton 6 Realty Corp.
Number 7.
That's
I
number
guess it's number
7.
7 for you guys. That's the extension of the action deadline until September 14th.
Extension to September 14.
Motion.
Motion by Dennis, second by
Second.
Glorian, all in favor.
Aye.
4 in favor, 2 absent.
And then 917 West Main LLC, this is also an extension of the action deadline from November 14th. This is the special trade contractor building right off Windmill Court in
Yep,
this
yep.
subdivision. So I'm just waiting on the engineers for both of these, so that's an extension.
To
also.
November,
September 14th,
Okay.
2023.
September 14. All right, let's also give the address to help for the minute.
Yes.
So this is 1 Windermere
One
Court.
Windermere Court,
Remsenburg.
Yep.
Okay.
Huh?
917 West Main LLC.
Yes, oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I was 917 West Main sounded like that should be the address.
Yeah, I know, and when that happens.
So,
So we have a motion on that?
Motion.
Motion by Dennis, second by
Second.
Gloria, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 4 in favor, 2 absent.
The next one I have is Scuttle Bridge LLC, and that's 2166 Scuttle Hole Road,
What number?
Bridgehampton.
11.
11,
Just real quick on this one, I'll show you.
okay.
This is one that you did a couple of years ago. This was, actually, it's one of those residential site plans because the property's over 10 acres in size, right? Is that the threshold? 15. So we, actually, this board approved, Jackie Fenlon worked on this, a site plan, and it has since expired. So actually, it was, and I'll put up the map here. I'm sorry, that's hard.
Do we have any reports on this?
It was just a reapproval of one that was already approved, that's all. There's no, hold on 1 second, view, rotate.
Is that yours, Linda?
Yes. There's no changes. We're not proposing any changes.
Okay.
Hold on, okay. Yep, so it's just
Oh,
a,
yes, this is right off Scuttle Hole.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm just recommending a reapproval of the Scuttle Bridge LLC, a site plan, 2166 Scuttle Hole Road, Bridgehampton. Just so you know, Jackie, that will allow the site plan to be good for another 2 years.
2 years, okay. Any questions? Motion?
Motion?
Motion by Gloria, and second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 4 in favor, 2 absent.
Let me just check one thing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I can't do this now.
You getting any response from him, Anthony?
Not,
Is the Zoom link?
oh, there we go, he's here now.
Oh, there you are.
Anthony, how do we get that Zoom link?
Go to the town's
It's
website.
on the website.
It's on the town's website. The meeting is live. So just go to the portal.
Only the 6 PM is listed.
You can you not see
If you
this?
click on video, it should be able, it should take you to a Zoom link.
On the Zoom as well.
Oh, their consultant, okay.
One thing that
Kristen, do you have the Zoom link? Yeah, can we see if we can get it to them?
Oh, right.
Can you hear us, Matthew? Yeah. Can you hear us, Matthew? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And we can hear you, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, just identify yourself for the record. Just identify yourself for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Matt Carmody, Vice President with ACARE.
Excuse me.
Okay, and we're just waiting for the applicant's representative to come on via Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turn off my camera and mute. Keep listening.
Any more background you want to give us?
No, I mean, the gist of it was that they were looking for some additional information on traffic count and analysis. I think generally what the consensus was is that the information that was originally presented wasn't adequate enough to make an assessment of the impacts. So, they were looking for a traffic count information, a parking analysis that was different than it was done before.
Right.
That kind of stuff. Tom obviously looked at everything, had some questions last time.
Okay.
would it be helpful if I gave my thoughts on their response memo from August 7th?
Yeah, Matt, your letter's dated the 2nd, I think, right? Theirs is dated the 7th, so you've taken their comments on the 7th into some, you're going to make comments on their letter of the 7th, is that?
Yes, we haven't issued a written response to their August 7th comments, but I will speak to all of them today. They issued the August 7th letter instead of responding in writing so that they could make some progress on agreeing on a scope for traffic count. So I think we'll get through that today
Okay.
with an agreement, but there are other matters that I think there'll be a little more homework for them to do.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the situation with the Zoom?
Yeah, so we're just trying to get our traffic engineer onto the meeting.
Okay.
But as Mr. Carmody mentioned, we do want to confirm the scope of the traffic data, what we're looking for.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
After we have a presentation of the AKRF draft.
I should let him start.
Anthony, you comfortable proceeding that way? To have him go over his draft report?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we start with your draft report to us dated July 19, and then revised August 2nd. We all have copies of it in front of us.
Except for me, I was only prepared to talk to the follow-up from Stonefield, so give me a second.
Yep. He has that, Anthony, the document?
Yes, I forwarded. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the red line version of the July 19th that was revised on August 2nd
Right.
responds to comments that we received from the applicant at the last meeting. There were clarifications that put a couple of the matters to rest. However, there were, coming out of that meeting, additional items for them to research, as well as comments from the board that were captured in this memo. I'll just read what's new in the red line, which is that it was all parties agreed that the roundabout, the Riverside traffic circle, needed to be included in the traffic impact study analysis, and then an appropriate software needed to be used to analyze that because roundabouts are unique.
Did you make a recommendation for the software or not?
We have 3 recommendations. One is called Synchro and Traffic. One is called Vism, and one is called Sidra.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the next item was for Stonefield to look into the weekday, midday peak hour trip generation, because there were some hours in the state DOT data where the midday hours were higher than the peak hours analyzed in the traffic impact study. ACARA didn't corroborate that, but it put it to the applicant's traffic engineers to look into. A higher growth rate was recommended. There was a editorial comment on doing some homework on whether traffic has actually reduced in volume or increased. There was also the comment to look into background development projects. And although AKRF searching the town website and the applicant traffic engineers didn't find any, the board at the last meeting identified several for the applicant's traffic engineer to look into. It was reiterated, in addition to AKRF's comments, that the lines of sight at the driveways should be assessed for safety. And that if a state DOT automatic traffic count location near the roundabout is to be used, to make sure that it's counting all the traffic, because with the rubber pneumatic tube, if there's a lot of traffic queued up, then car tires can sit on the tube and not count cars, as many cars. So those were the additional comments that were added to AKRF's review memo.
If I may just add, when we talked about additional activity, we specifically said, look at the town of Riverhead, since it's literally on top of it.
Yeah, that is in the memo. I didn't mention that, but there were a number of specific projects, and the Town of Riverhead Comprehensive Plan was one of them. So yes, those are named in the updated memo. There aren't any questions on those new items that were added based on the last working meeting. I can go into clarifications that the applicant provided at the last meeting that allowed us to resolve a couple of the items.
Sure, that's good.
Okay.
Tom, you didn't have any more questions
No,
on that? Okay.
good, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
What, so you're on page 3 now?
Yeah, sorry, I should tell you where I am.
Starting
On
with
page
new traffic
3.
counts? Mhm.
Yes, so we discussed at the last meeting with Stonefield that traffic data collection and count should be based on the traditional process of identifying the peak season for vehicular activity, presenting that, and then to assign the project trip to intersections beyond just the 2 driveways that were initially presented in order to identify the traffic study area. So that's what the new traffic count edits on page 3 are talking about. Next, the future conditions without the project, the 2025 no build, the planning board recommended a 2.25% per year growth rate instead of 1%. On page 4, the applicant clarified that they did not take credit for the non-existent gas station that was previously there in their comparison of traffic count. That was removed from the memo. We talked about using trip assignments to identify the study intersection, which led to us removing the 3 recommended study intersections and instead follow typical traffic impact study process. We talked about the software to be used to analyze the roundabout. One of the parking comments was clarified, which was we didn't know why some of the parking stalls were 40 feet long instead of the typical 18 to 20 feet long, and the applicant clarified why. That would be that landscaping and contractor vehicles are often that use larger parking spaces. We talked about the safety analysis and what should be done in the revised traffic impact study for that. And we talked about coordinating with other agencies besides the town because the driveways are on roadways that are owned by the state and county, and that access should be discussed with them, as well as the revised traffic impact study.
Where do you state that? I'm trying to follow you.
Yeah, that's page 5. Sorry, I lost you again.
You're up to
Should,
page 5, okay.
mention when I flip pages. At the bottom of page 5, it talks about site plan and circulation
Right.
and jurisdiction for accessing a public roadway. That falls to the jurisdiction of the state for Flanders Road and for Riverly, Suffolk County route. Those were the revised comments on the initial traffic study from the last working meeting that we attended. And I can move on to commenting on the applicant's August 7th memo. I'll just wait a beat, see if there are any questions.
I just want to clarify one thing for the board also. So obviously that was part of the report with the changes. And when you go to the end of the report, pages 6 and 7, those are just extrapolated from the report, the specific recommendations sort of outlined again. So I didn't want to bypass it, so it's all in there.
Okay.
Sorry.
An ethereal
First I
moment.
gotta find it, then I gotta turn it off.
At an ethereal moment.
Sounded pretty good.
Didn't even realize, sometimes I don't recognize my own phone, because I changed it. What are we doing?
So,
What's happening? What's going on?
Somebody had a door open while
Oh, okay.
Jeff, your traffic guy still trying to get on?
We're trying, but did it work? I just admit that.
So then why don't we,
Why don't we let him go start going through?
sure,
Since
we've got 2 pages, so let's do that.
All right, Matthew, you want to start going on the memo that the applicant submitted? We'll
It's not working.
Sure thing. Okay, there is a August 7th dated memo from Stonefield, which was a response to our discussion at the last working meeting. And the thrust of it is really to take the process in baby steps, which we agree with, and to not plow ahead with a revised traffic impact study, but instead start with the first step of agreement on identification of when traffic counts should be collected for a revised traffic impact study. So that is something that I think we can come to agreement on today, with one caveat. And I'll just I'll go through comments on the memo and point out that caveat. First of all, on page 1, table 1, in response to a tariff comment that the lower of the 2 options of projected trip generation were used in the initial traffic impact study, Stonefield is agreeing that in order to provide a conservative analysis, the higher of the trip generation projections have been utilized. So that satisfies one of our comments.
So you're
Yeah.
referring to the first chart on
Yeah.
Stonefield's
Yeah.
memo, okay.
Yeah, that had been a comment of ours that the lower of the 2 options had been used for the initial traffic impact study draft. We recommend using the higher of the 2, and they're presenting the difference and agreeing to use the higher of the 2.
So what does that fall under? You're talking weekday morning, weekday evening, Saturday midday?
Yeah, I was having a hard time
In
understanding this.
all
You know, we're
cases,
trying to
the-
understand, it's a little difficult via Zoom and not seeing the paperwork.
Sure.
You
it
don't
is
have
all-
that report,
all
do
of
you,
the
Anthony,
three-
What's that?
digitally? Do you have that report digitally? Do you have this Stonefield report digitally that could be projected?
Yes, give me 1 second.
And what's happening, Jeff? He can't get through on Zoom.
We've tried everything. The portal, we're given the direct link and got an error message on that, so.
Is he working on a
think-
desktop computer?
I think we can work through it anyway. We just had one comment about the report, so I think we can address it very quickly.
Okay.
So Matt, this table 2, I'm just going to jump in there, you're comfortable with these numbers that they're putting there for new trips, pass-by trips? You're okay with this?
No, that's the caveat that I wanted to talk
Okay.
about.
Okay.
We are comfortable with table 1, which responds to an initial comment of ours and
Okay.
resolves it. But if we're on page 2,
No, I think I jumped ahead maybe by mistake, so I just was trying to figure out where you were on these 2 charts.
yeah, I hadn't yet answered the question about which peak hours this chart, table 1, refers to. So to answer that question, they are proposing to use the higher trip generation rate for all 3 peak periods. We recommend analyzing the AM and the PM on a weekday, and then the highest peak hour on a Saturday. So in all 3 cases, the variable that they've used presents a more conservative, higher, sort of worst-case traffic scenario, which was our original comment. So that, I think, is put to rest. And we can move on to the second page if there are any more questions on the first page.
Well, I still have a question with the, I see a bunch of numbers, and I don't know which numbers they're now using. I mean,
The bottom row.
For weekday, week evening, and Saturday?
Yeah. All the numbers across the bottom are higher.
so that,
Okay, here we go. We have it now up on the screen.
Okay.
and Madam Chair,
Yeah. Kate Fulham is here.
Kate Phillum is here.
Welcome, Kate. Okay, so we have the report up on the screen, Matthew. Make it easier.
Yes, I see it, and so there are 2 rows in this table that's presented on the screen.
Mhm.
The bottom row presents the higher projected traffic for each peak hour that would be generated by the proposed project, which was what we had asked them to include, and they're agreeing to base the traffic impact study on that.
Okay,
That's good.
okay. Okay, now we can go to page 2.
Okay, thanks. So, yeah, if we could zoom in on table 2. Other past precedents are provided, another consultant traffic study that had some lower pass-by rates were presented, also the source for the pass-by rate. However, we disagree that such a high amount of traffic that would be destined to this 7-Eleven and gas station would be passing by, that 3 out of every 4 cars that pull in there would just happen to be on the road passing by the driveway. And the reason that we disagree with this is, there are 2 reasons. First of all, there are 2 other gas stations on this traffic circle, and I think that if both of those gas stations and this one drew 3/4 of their traffic from the traffic circle, then that might mean that everybody in that traffic circle is stopping at one of those 3 gas stations as they pass by, which is illogical. So we think a lower rate is necessary because this is a competitive environment for gas stations. There are already 2, and there's not a belief that 3 out of every 4 cars passing by through this roundabout are going to stop. That would not normally stop, are coming from the street passing by.
What about the
Yeah.
fact that this is a fairly large convenience store that's being applied for? Wouldn't that actually bring more people into the traffic circle?
Yeah, and that's really the reason that we're pushing back on this number, is that by assuming a credit that 3/4 of your traffic sort of is already there, you're not adding more than 25% of the projected traffic to the traffic circle. So you're really undercounting and underestimating the demand, because you're saying people are mostly going to stop in because they're already passing by. But I think that 7-Eleven is a brand that people go out of their way for, more than other, convenience stores at gas stations. That's just one of the 2 reasons why we're recommending that they rethink the pass-by credit.
And where in your report is that referenced, Matthew? Page 6 of your report?
Yes, let me find the page. The original comment on the pass-by credit
It's number
is
3.
on page 4 of our revised report.
Page 4, okay, at the top?
No, the top of page 4 in our revised memo is really the same as table 1 in Stonefield's August 7th memo. We didn't present pass-by tables. So reading the text below table 1 on page 4 of ACARE's memo, the first bold sentence, the reduced trip generation estimates do not accurately represent the trip generation at the site and need to be revised. There are 2 sentences below that. The first sentence, they resolve, which is that we recommend the higher of the 2 IT trip generation estimates should be used to present more conservative conditions. We just went through that. That's table 1 in Stonefield's August 7th memo. The sentence after that is the recommendation that you asked if it was in our memo, which is that pass-by credits may be taken, but must be developed consultation with another agency. Could be the town, but the State Department of Transportation office in Pompog, they review many traffic impact studies that access their roads. We contacted them to see if this rate had been run by them, and they said it hadn't. And they said that seems like a very high rate of pass-by credit. And that's why we put that in this memo, that we had spoken with them, and we recommend that Stonefield speaks with them and uses their guidance.
Okay, that's clear. Any questions from the board on that one?
It's good.
Okay.
Okay, the rest of the comments should go faster. So we're back on page 2 of Stonefield's August
Page 2 of Stonefield's report, right, okay.
Yeah.
Trip
So we
assignment,
discussed-
right.
Yes, that's right, that's where we are.
Okay.
Trip assignment distribution, we're generally in agreement with the assignment and distribution methodology. Stonefield is saying they are going to base the trip distribution on the different legs of the roundabout based on the existing volume, and that the existing volumes are not known because they haven't collected new ones, and the old ones had some issues. So we're kind of punting on that for now. We agree with the methodology. We have to see the new volume to agree with the final trip assignment and distribution of trips on other roadways leading to the traffic circle.
Then,
Next, spanning pages 2 and 3, Stonefield responded to the board and a CAREF comment that research should be done to identify the correct seasons and peak hours for the traffic impact study revision to be counted during. So Stonefield presents their homework. We're in agreement that the dates in September represent typical seasonal conditions, and this was what we asked them to present. We said we're not sure whether you should be doing new counts in the summer or the fall. We had a little bit of discussion about how, the fall is just as busy as the summer. Stonefield did their homework, and they've identified that they would collect counts on a weekday and a Saturday in September, and we agree with that. It doesn't resolve the question of the weekday midday peak hour. However, one additional comment we're going to make on the data collection should satisfy that comment. This suggested count scope includes turning movement count at the traffic circle. It does not include a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour automatic traffic recorder. That's typically deployed along with the turning movement count so that you can look and see if you've gotten a very high traffic day or a very low traffic day, because you're only counting one day. So we're going to recommend that an automatic traffic recorder is added probably on both legs of the traffic circle where the driveways are on Riverly and Nugent Drive. So that would satisfy the board members' comments from previous working meeting about it isn't the midday higher in some hours.
so where is
So
that
we'll get to
installed, Matthew? Where is that installed, this traffic reporter?
So that would be far enough away from the roundabout so that cars waiting to enter the roundabout don't interfere with the data that's collected. Because as I mentioned earlier, and one of the board members has mentioned last time, the pneumatic tubes have a flaw where if, let's say there's one lane of traffic that is stopped and a tire is on that pneumatic tube and other cars are going by in the opposite direction, no air is shot through the tube by the passing cars to the recorder, so it undercounts traffic. So, yeah, that's a good question. Where will the ATR tube be? The answer is it's going to be far enough away from the traffic circle so that we don't have that phenomenon. They may also have a camera that doesn't deploy it. It depends on the vendor that Stonefield uses. There are a lot of different ways to count traffic these days. But the fact remains that we are recommending to supplement the 1-day weekday and the 1-day Saturday count with 7 days of automatic traffic reporter count so that we can see the variation throughout the weekday that was counted, and we can also see the variation throughout the week on the different days to make sure that the count data that was collected was average, that it was reasonable, that it was good data.
Right. That's very important.
Yeah, the quality and the ability to double check data collection is very important. The cameras nowadays, the applicant's traffic engineer had mentioned in the last working meeting, are highly accurate because they use traffic cameras that count the vehicles passing through as objects, and they're much more accurate than using a traffic counter where you click the cars where a person clicks them. So during the count period, the accuracy of the traffic data that's collected really doesn't need to be challenged. The question is, was that day typical? So that's the purpose of supplementing it with another machine, even though a machine is counting the turning movement count.
Okay.
Shall we go to the last item?
Mm-hmm.
It's a quick one. It was Amanda LaRosa from Stonefield last time had presented why 3 continuous years of crash data couldn't be obtained, and we understand that and agree that the evaluation of 2 years of crash data will suffice.
Mm-hmm.
And the issues were that the roundabout had been reconstructed, which throws off the crash data. People are getting used to it. There's also construction happening. And that within the last 5 years, crash data is thrown off by COVID patterns. So to make a long story short, we had agreed on 2 years in the last working meeting, and they're putting in writing that they're going to evaluate 2 years, and we agree with that.
Okay.
The item that's not mentioned that I wanted to mention here as a sort of a section is parking. We had made comments about parking, though that's not addressed here. We'd like to know if additional data is going to be collected or if a different source will be used, because we had some comments on the parking demand study for the project. So I want to put that out there, but when we respond to this in writing, we'll identify that.
So you're still waiting for information on the parking? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was in our review memo, both of them, the initial one and the revised one, and it wasn't included in the response from August 7th. And I don't think that's a flaw, because really the thrust of this August 7th memo is to get the ball rolling in agreement on data collection, and I think we're pretty much there. It is just that we're going to continue to question the parking demand, and maybe there's a response that's forthcoming. It's just not in this memo.
Okay.
And that's it. I think the site distance that falls along the same lines as the parking is still out there as a comment, hasn't been addressed yet. It's not a fatal flaw that's not addressed now. It would be addressed, I assume, in the revised TIF, traffic impact study. And those are our thoughts on this memo.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Any questions
Thank you.
from us? Please identify yourself.
For the applicant, Matthew Ingber from the law firm of Brown, Altman, DeLeo, 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301, Melville, New York. So just want to thank Mr. Carmody on his summary, and we will be responding to his comments in an updated traffic study. We just wanted to confirm one thing, is whether the traffic count is only going to be on the circle, and are the automatic traffic reporter enough to satisfy Mr. Carmody's comments?
That's a good question. So the caveat is that we would like you to communicate with at least the State Department of Transportation on the pass-by rate and then get back to us, because if they comment that 75% is too high, then the initial trip assignment to identify just the one study intersection of the traffic circle means that you may have to count one other intersection or two other intersections. You see?
Okay.
Because by taking the trip generation that's presented in table 1 and then giving a 75% off credit, you're only identifying that the traffic circle needs to be counted. We're disagreeing on the 75% credit, and we would like to hear what your conversations with the State Department of Transportation uncover.
Okay, yeah, we will discuss this with the New York DOT and get back to you as soon as possible.
Okay.
Can I just add something also on the parking, because this was raised during the pre-submission? And I think you mentioned this in the memo, they utilized a Southold 7-Eleven site as part of their parking analysis. Again, the traffic situation there is different. There wasn't a fuel station that was with it, but I say this is important because we need to know what the parking situation is as well, because just for example, take the 7-Eleven right here in the village. They have little side roads there and everything. That thing is bumper to bumper packed, so we're at a traffic circle. And so we need to know if the parking is going to be sufficient, especially with landscaping trucks and everything coming in and out of the site. So I sort of just want to underscore that
Yes.
importance of the
Yeah.
parking analysis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand as a layperson how you could assume parking lot for a convenience store solo compared to a convenience store and gas station, how that, they're analogous.
Right. So, and it was raised as an issue, so obviously the
Yes.
applicant now knows.
Sure. Yeah, we'll address it in our updated traffic impact study.
So no other questions for Matthew?
No, we have no other questions. We'll look into DOT and get back to you as soon as possible.
Could I jump in with
Yeah.
a question as I go through the AKRF document, the Stonefield document, and then this, what's attached, at least to my copy, and it mentions appendix from VHB. The title on that is 535 Montauk Highway, which confuses me a little bit. Then the interior pages then show aerials of the 7-Eleven at Flanders, the proposal that we're discussing today. The pages that say figures are blank. I don't know if we're supposed to be getting something there.
What's that attached to?
Yeah, show the attachment that had the 530, was it the VHB report for 535 Montauk Highway was used as really for illustrative purposes in terms of the traffic, in terms of the pass-by trips. So that's why our traffic engineer just put it there just for your reference.
Okay, and then it goes to pages that reference your proposal.
Correct.
But there's a blank page that says figures. I don't know if there's supposed to be figures there.
I think it's just the
Page
title
like
page
five.
to separate.
Oh, yeah, it's just the title page stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to
Okay.
separate the
Usually
sections,
they
you
can
know.
have a page saying additional credit, but I'm not sure.
I find it a little bit confusing. On page 4, again, maybe it was just an example of some sort, but at the bottom of that, it talks about site access and site distance, but ends at the bottom of page 4, half of a sentence ends, and again, I don't know, is this,
Oh, for the that
how is that
VHB
merged
report?
with the proposal we're looking
It
at?
was really for pass-by methodology.
So it's
we were
really
try-
just
we were
the
responding-
pass-by
Yeah.
data from this?
For another application that was
The
reviewed by the
references
town.
to site access and site distance don't have any application to this application?
I don't,
Okay.
no.
I
Just
I
just for
just,
pass-by methodology.
It's confusing what this.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Yeah,
just
just
for,
If you
it was
can-
for,
Right.
it just,
Eliminate it.
yeah, it was just for illustrative purposes.
So there weren't supposed to be figures for this application in here? Then,
Just for comparison.
okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are we on any time frame?
We're gonna get some more information,
More
obviously, from the
information,
applicant
okay.
and then from Mr. Carmody. So we'll just, we'll have
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll wait till we get further reports. Matthew, any further questions for us?
Matt?
Yeah, we don't need to wait for another working meeting of the planning board. We'd like to know how the conversations with the State Department of Transportation went, and that way Stonefield can get on their way to conducting the traffic counts and revising the traffic impact study.
Sure.
So I think it's just like a two-step process, and it doesn't need to have a lot of formality to it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
Both of you.
thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
Matt.
you.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
So Anthony, you have one more
I have two
application.
more, I think, but I'll,
Well, why don't we finish them up, because you need to go, you have an
I'll
appointment.
finish it. I don't know what number it's on your agenda, but it's Old Stables at Spionk, 85 North Phillips Road in Spionk. It's probably 4.
It's
on your
number
agenda.
4.
Number 4 on our agenda.
I'll give you this, that's the copy of the,
Thank you.
Should I keep one for myself? That's the question. I'll take one back for myself.
Take one.
Everybody knows Old Stables at Spionk. I've been working on it for 8 years now. As Dennis said, the expedited review. So everybody knows it's on North Phillips Avenue. This is the property down here that's highlighted. The green shows already preserved property under open space for the town. The subdivision, and I'll show you the map, will create the open space back here, links up to this, and then hopefully we could fill in the gap here, and then link up to the town site over here. So we did get the open space back here. The board might recall, it's a 6-lot yield, 1 extra lot for the affordable, which is being built within the subdivision. I believe it's actually the lot right here. Cul-de-sac into the property. Everything will be accessed off the cul-de-sac, nothing off of North Phillips Avenue. Proposed road and open space are to be dedicated to the town. I gave the planning board the resolution. So we went through a preliminary. Actually, we did 2 preliminaries. Remember, this started off as a 9-lot subdivision density incentive, only to find out that the density incentive, weirdly, is not authorized in communities where the population density is more than 500 people per square mile. So I think that's a bit of a disconnect, but that's my opinion. So nevertheless, we couldn't get all the affordable, but we're getting 1 out of it. So we'll take it where we could get it.
And the history of this, I remember asking you, did we not ask for a cluster?
Oh, this is a cluster. This is a cluster plan.
This
It's
is
not
the
an
cluster.
aquifer. It's not in any of the overlay
Any overlay?
districts. So the minimum is the 25%. So, but they did provide it back here,
Okay.
and it is a cluster plan. So if you take out the resolution, and Jackie, you weren't here last time. We went through a draft resolution. We discussed some of the issues that I wanted to clarify. One of the things was we went through the clearing. Obviously, the properties are small, and there's no clearing restrictions. The other thing was, and it's unfortunate, but both the highway department and town engineer don't want the landscape island in the middle of the cul-de-sac. I see them sometimes here. I think they're nice. It's a place to put snow in the winter. It provides shade, it provides
Yes.
drainage. But I have 2 agencies now in the town that's saying no. And what I don't want to happen is to have this affordable lot be built, and then the road is not being dedicated to the town and not accepting it. So I just recommended that we removed it. So I'm just trying to let you know what discussions we sort of had
It actually
last time.
provides a very nice, almost like a circle to drive around
Yeah.
one way and come back up.
Yeah, for sure. So if you just go to the resolution here, why do I keep doing that? Okay. Actually, if you just go to page, the second page, that's where we do our findings. This was an unlisted action, and we issued a negative, the board issued a negative declaration in 2020. Number two, the final application is in substantial agreement with the preliminary approval. That was from March 25th, 2021. The health department has approved this subdivision. Actually, I believe the town had to give sanitary flow credit to get to the, to the 7th lot. And they have their covenants, restrictions that they always impose. Actually, you'll see this as board of review determination. That's for the transfer of the development, right, to get to the affordable unit.
Shouldn't we say that? Can we not say that?
Sure.
That the town provided?
Yeah, that's actually
Yeah.
a very good point.
In point 3, you say the health department approved individual septic systems.
They approved the subdivision map, I should say, the proposed subdivision map with,
Because they would now need IA systems.
yes.
Yeah, those are.
They have to, so they're not done with the health department. Now they gotta go back for each individual building permit.
Okay, well, but the way I read that sentence, it sounded, it was implying to me,
We're gonna change it that the health
To
department
IA.
approved the subdivision map and leave it at that.
With individual IA septic system?
But they didn't approve any septic system.
They haven't
just-
approved
yeah, So
anything.
we'll just
Take
say they
that
approved
out?
the subdivision map. and that's what
Okay,
they approved.
okay. And take out, and public water supply.
Yeah. We had the final hearing in May with a 10-day written comment period. No comments were received. The park requirement for a 6-lot subdivision, we don't charge against the affordable. That's the benefit of doing the affordable, is 1/3 of an acre. Now, we're getting open space here, but this open space is being dedicated to the town. There was no trails, recommendations from the trails. So this isn't going to have any active recreation use in there, so they're still subject to the park fee, which is $62.13.83 per lot, or $37,282.98. The applicant is complying with the workforce housing, so we're getting the 1 unit in conformance with the state's regulations. 7 talks about the access off of the subdivision road, no access off of North Phillips. The open space, this is the next page, page 3, the open space is 1.75 acres and it's 25% of the lot area. And then we're going to do R20, the lots are all roughly a ½ acre in size, so we'll do R20 for the zoning setbacks. Last time, what was missing from the memo, now here on page 3, and it goes all the way to page 4, are the town engineer's comments, and they gotta obviously make some final changes, and actually, he recommended making them conditions of approval, so I've included them. It's standard engineering stuff, they gotta make some changes to the SWIP, so the plans match. Fire prevention provided comments, we're providing the fire hydrants as requested in there, so that's already on the map. Conservation Board made recommendations, which we discussed last time. We had a discussion about the preservation of the open space and the difficulty of having the clearing restrictions imposed on non-APOD lots that are smaller in size. So the board didn't think clearing restrictions would be necessary on these properties, so we don't have them in there.
Is the rear 25% vegetated?
Yes, 100%, yeah, it's fully vegetated. Again, they do mention on page 6 here at the top there, the long-eared bat situation. Dennis, we've had this discussion.
Yes.
And actually, I talked to my very young nephew who now works for the DEC, and I couldn't get anything out of him either, but you made the point, so what? So what do you do about this? So what we've been doing is putting a covenant and a notation on the map, which is basically the best we could do at this point. So we'll see.
Because it relates to clearing.
It relates to
You can't
clearing.
take any trees down.
That's right.
That
You're
might
on
be
certain
nesting
areas.
sites.
at a certain time of the year.
Yeah.
So that's why we put it in there. The next one, fire district, and actually the fire hydrant is located between lots. Hold on, they asked, it's lots. These progressives aren't that great.
It says between 5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 and 6 or 2 and 3 or whatever it is. So it's sitting over here actually. So we do have the fire hydrant on there. So that's good. Superintendent of Highways said remove the landscape island. Trails advisory, no impacts or no trail implications. So I have the resolution to approve the subdivision map subject to the following changes. Changes to the final map. The title has to be changed to reflect that it's a PRD plan. Any of the changes required by the engineer. It should state that the road is to be dedicated to the town of Southampton. They should remove all the building envelopes and proposed structures. They should note that the open space is going to be delineated with a split rail fence, so we could prevent those encroachments. All lots are subject to the R20 zoning regulations. They should put notation, compliance with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for federal, state threatened long-eared bat. And I'm going to add to that, as it pertains to the clearing restrictions. Because that's really, you pointed out, that's exactly what it's all about, is the time period that you could do the clearing. The traffic island shall be removed from the map and the road and drainage plans. Number 2 on page 7, review and approval of the final road and drainage plans and the SWIP from the town engineer, and then signature of the final road and drainage plans. 3, applicant shall provide an acknowledgement letter to the planning board that prior to the building permit, the installation of the fire hydrant shall be required. The receipt of the subdivision regulations relative to inspections of road and drainage and construction. Actually, there is no common driveway improvement, so I'll take that out. And then C pertains to the inspection and testing fees. Number 4, the applicant shall install a split rail fence. Do I normally say or similar fencing? Do we want split rail?
I think
We like split rail.
Split rail is what,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's kind of our standard.
Yeah, along the proposed property lines. It's got to be done prior to the dedication to the town, and it should be shown on all the.
Do we really want to bond the fence? I think they could just put it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's 100% correct. That came from a previous
I
resolution.
know.
Sometimes I question, submission of a contract and proof of payment to the Suffolk County Water Authority for the installation of the water mains and the hydrants. Construction of the road and drainage improvements in accordance with the approved plans, in satisfaction to the town engineer, or posting of the performance bond. Submission of the performance bond. Again, we'll take that out, Dennis, about the split rail fence. On number 7. Performance bond estimate that will be prepared. Setting the performance bond, setting the review fee, the payment of the review fee, submission of declaration and covenants, bottom of page 7. All lots are subject to the R20 zoning dimensional regulations. This is a cluster plan. No further subdivision of any lots, no lot line modifications without planning board approval. D&E talk about no utilities or overhead utilities for the lots. Everything's going to be underground. F again talks about compliance with the New York State DEC regarding the long-eared bat, and I'll again add as it pertains to the clearing. This one is just grayed out. It says here, affordable housing covenants for lot 1. No more than 3 market rate lots shall be issued certificates of occupancy unless a CO has been issued for the affordable lot. I'm just trying to squeeze this in there. We've got 3 lots from a subdivision in the 80s that were never built. They were not
Right,
told
it's
to
a
build
good
them. So we'll do it in the first half, to be fair to the
Christine, do you see any problems with that?
With requirement, no, we've done it before. Requirement, we require them to do it prior to CO on other lots.
Yeah, what I did here was I timed it with the first half. In other words,
It's fine.
Yeah.
I could
that makes
see
sense.
that, I could see that working if one applicant is gonna build out the lots. But we have no control over that, so they could conceivably be conveying out lots, and it's sort of an encumbrance. People can't, how would a lot purchaser be able to deal with that?
It might be a problem, but it's also gonna be filed as a covenant on the property. They're taking it knowing, each of those lots are being taken knowing.
No, they know that.
That they know that.
But
That's
which lot
the-
would be like a race to the C of O and race to the building permit? I'm just wondering if there's
Any
there's a
3.
more workable mechanism to
ensure that it gets.
to ensure,
Maybe they should build it
I don't know,
first.
if there's a bonding mechanism or an escrow mechanism, I don't know. It works if this applicant we're gonna build them all
Right, the
out.
developer says they're going to build 30 lots
Otherwise,
here.
they're
50
gonna
trucks, for
sell 8 or 10 lots, and it's like, holy mackerel, we better get going, we don't have our financing in, we're a cash builder, so we could go first and get our,
Well, maybe they should build the affordable unit first. and then let everything
Well,
else
I
fall
mean,
where
there's
they
so
may.
much need, it's like, that
Yeah.
lot is gonna go pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be
Yeah.
a problem for them.
So
That would be a
if we-
solution.
if
To
we
build the
require
affordable
that.
housing
So
unit
let's do
first.
that.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
Seems making
but
a face
I
at me.
don't know. I don't know if we can tell them which one they have to do first. I mean, we could say we're not going to be giving you COs
Well,
until
let me
you've done
just think this
X,
through
but to
first.
tell them that they have to do it
Because
first. then.
the affordable's gotta go through the town's program, so the town
Right.
is going to find somebody in the lottery, and that person is going to get their, mortgage and everything else. So we know that the town's gonna be involved at some point, right, to get that unit or to get that property
Mm-hmm.
to somebody.
Who
So
builds a house, the affordable house? The
The developer has to.
Developer
developer
has
has to
So-
build a house.
So it behooves him to get going.
Maybe,
Yeah,
So they
We've-
can sell a
We've
lot
done
to,
conveyance covenants where, and this kicks in on private roads where prior to the conveyance of any lots, that this affordable house shall be C of O'd. That way, you got your affordable lot, build it right now, right away. It's almost like a road
You've done
improvement.
conveyance ones, you can make it, you can do it that
We
way.
can do conveyance, can you say no building permit shall be issued for any of the market
Well,
rate lots
the way we've
until such
handled
time
private
as-
roads is conveyance. In other words, on those long private road, the flag lots, no conveyance of lots
Yeah,
prior to
yeah,
the
yeah.
sub.
So, okay.
So if you tie
how
to
do you word it?
conveyance, it's gonna spur them to get that affordable lot.
So prior to the conveyance of the market rate lots, the affordable lot number, whatever it is in here, lot 1,
Shall be
shall
CO'd.
be
shall be
CO'd.
sealed.
Yeah.
Perfect. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Or, I don't know his business structure, I don't know if he can afford that. If you wanna give him some leeway and just say, prior to the sale of up to 50% of the lots, that's required, I mean, I don't know.
but the other thing is,
I'm not a builder.
how long is the process gonna take through the town to identify and mortgage a?
Well, no, the house gets built, C of O, and then it can be a parallel process.
Well, that's assuming.
But
the-
once a C of O is issued, you're free to convey lots
And it
there.
ensures that he's gonna build it, because
Yeah.
he wants the rest of the project to go
Yeah.
forward.
It would almost be like tied into the road improvements. You can't convey lots until, for
Right, well, have we
instance,
done
Yes.
that before?
I'd-
until you get a certain amount of improvements.
I'd be more comfortable with like the conveyance of up to 50 rather than saying he has to build that one first. Because that might be funding his,
Right.
the sale of those other two.
Okay.
So prior to the.
Do what she says.
So no, prior to the conveyance of, or,
No more
no more than
than
50%
50% of
of
the
the
lots
lots
shall
can
be
be
conveyed until
conveyed
such time
until
as.
such time as the.
Okay,
I'm okay with that.
all right,
We'll go for it.
sounds good.
No, I like that. The fire hydrants, that's H, has to be done before the building permits can be issued on any residential lots. The 3-inch drainage for all future surfaces, the retention of the stormwater on all the properties, compliance with the driveway standards of the town code, and then,
Is that includes the roundabout? I mean, the cul-de-sac? Because I didn't see anything in the engineering report about, show us the engineering design for the cul-de-sac.
They don't want the.
well, they don't want the, he doesn't want the.
Yeah, but that's all they said. What do they want?
Well, the engineer's
That's
got
gonna
a
be
whole
part of the
bunch.
road and
Just
drainage,
asphalt.
road and drainage plan.
The engineer does have requirements in there. Sorry, maybe I'm not following your question.
No, you are. You are following me.
Yeah.
I was just specifically looking for what the engineer was saying, like review of.
It has to be
Cul-
enrolled,
cul-de-sac
yeah. It'll be rolled into
structure.
the whole
Right.
road and drainage plans. It's one document.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean, I sort of generally just tried to catch it that they're gonna have to prepare these final documents for the engineer to approve, addressing all of his comments. That's how I normally do it.
And-
And then L, this, we get this a lot now from the engineer, this is regarding the speedies permits, it's issued from the DEC under the SWIP.
Right.
It's this, to make sure that, whoever, wherever the ownership changes, that, the speedies permit follows and is, so.
Right.
So that's always there now. 13 is gonna be the perpetual affordable housing covenant for Lot 1. That's going to ensure that it stays affordable, and that'll be reviewed by the town attorney, and I'm guessing Kara's office, Housing and Community Development. Submission of the offer of dedication for the open space parcel, submission of the offer of dedication for Old Stable Lane, the title certification, mortgage release for the dedications if applicable, mortgage consent for the covenants if there's a mortgage, town attorney approval of all legal docs, town board acceptance I don't wanna say legal docs, I wanna say acceptance of open space and road improvements, right? And road.
Yeah.
And then 21 is the submission of the Mylars and paper prints, which will be submitted for the planning board signature, and then it has to be recorded within 62 days after the signature.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'll move it.
Yep.
Motion by Dennis, second by George, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, we are now 5 here,
Five.
5, and 1 absent. Is that 1, 2, 3, 6?
Six.
6
Yeah,
in
but there are
favor,
7 of us.
1 absent, and 1 that was surprising.
Greg's up at college.
This one will be number 14, I guess, on your agenda, Bola EN Realty, 239 West Montauk Highway in Hampton Bays. This is actually, they did the site plan, if you have driven by, it came out really nice, actually. It's 1,200 square foot convenience store. And it came out nice, the landscaping was roughly $12,900, so I'm recommending that we set the maintenance bond at $4,300, a third of that amount.
Okay, motion by Dennis, second by Kate, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
And just one more, and I believe it's number 16 on your agenda, it's the estate of
Pucci.
Madeline Cuomo.
19.
No, 16 is.
16 is
19.
Puccio.
Puccio
It's 19.
laundromat.
It's 19?
19.
19.
Oh, wow,
19.
sorry. That's the estate of Madeline Cuomo. That's another one that's been mulling around for
Mhm.
Ever.
decades. This is Jackie Fenland's actually taking all of them. This is actually, this has been through, I mean, probably 3 pre-apps over the course of time and then back and forth. And then there were some survey issues and all the rest of it. They actually submitted a final application that was deemed incomplete. But the applicant's representative said the map might have changed a little bit, there were discrepancies. So what we decided to do is we're just going to extend and waive the pre-app policy, so their pre-app report now remains valid. And then they're gonna come in with a new final application.
Okay, so you want
So we're
an
just gonna,
extension?
it's an extension and a waiver of the pre-application policy for the estates.
An extension to when?
It's going to be, hold on. Just give me 1 second. One more second. Oh, no, because it's a renewal and extension. So it's actually going to be 1 year. It's good for 1 year from today's date, as a matter of fact. So it's going to be 8/24/23.
So 8/24/24.
24, yeah.
Okay, extension and reapproval of?
Extension and a waiver of the
Waiver.
pre-application policy.
Okay,
Yeah.
any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria, second by Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent. That's it, Anthony. I hope you make your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Claire, do you?
Claire's here. Yay.
Okay.
Oh, yes, please, can you write down your password to your bank accounts?
That's not going to get you far.
I want to open up a couple things, but I'm going to be Charles today. I'll do the first one he has, which is the Delandrew Farms.
Okay,
So that's number 2. So I'm going to get you the report on that, but I want to open the reports for you. And let me pass it out for you. So you have it.
Thank you.
So it's a 3-lot subdivision in East Quogue. On old Quogue Riverhead Road.
this is Wayne.
Yes.
It is.
Just a minute,
share.
Trees, for the trees, yes, for the buffers, yeah.
That's the vegetated buffer.
Yeah, and then this is for the buffer.
Doesn't even know this is a common driveway.
So you want buffer, you want
That's existing buffer.
So do you think the best way to do is just go through it generally, and then we'll go through the comments, and then have the applicant speak?
Yep.
Okay, so it's a proposed 3 lots, subdivision of 2 adjoining parcels that total, about 6 acres. And it has 2 one-story buildings and a 1-story house, a 2-story house and a metal building. It's in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District and Compatible Growth Area of the Central Pine Barrens.
Claire, would it be too challenging to put up the map?
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Can you see this stuff?
Okay.
I honestly don't recall buildings being on these lots.
Clearing.
There it is. There are buildings on the parcel. You can see them on the site plan, right? They're
Aerial.
just like outlines.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There was
There's
one
one.
on the front, on the southern end.
On lot 3.
Yeah. See if I can zoom in slightly here. Like here, and then there's some in the middle.
Okay.
I guess it was a farm at one point, it
Yeah.
looks like from the aerial.
1-story building, yeah.
But doesn't seem like it's been a farm
Yeah,
for a
you
bit.
see them?
Yeah.
I saw one aerial from the
They look like
60s.
little scratches
Yeah,
on the
they-
map.
Did you see that? Extensive, quite an operation there.
Could
Buildings.
Yeah, it was clear. Do you want me to
Oh,
put
the
the aerial?
aerial? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
There were buildings and
I don't know if he's got GIS.
pretty active
open.
farm.
It was a very active farm, yeah, but historically, vegetation's come back on the north and west side. It looks like it's been more than 20 years that the vegetation's been there, but we can take a peek. Let's see the address, 2883.
Pretty nice. Should have fixed.
You think we're fading here?
So this is the smaller lot, but that's 2022.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
And then, I'll put up the 1962, you can see that it was quite cleared. But maybe not even the north side, but it's tough to tell, it's been shifted maybe. I'll just zoom out a little bit so you can see. So, over the years, 1976, it was cleared out, maybe a little vegetation there. And this is 2001. And you can see the vegetation's coming back here, and there's some vegetation on the west. And then this is now, and you can see some vegetation came back here and some
So
vegetation.
there's less vegetation along that strip. Which
Yeah,
is the buffer that we had comments on.
there's, a buffer that's comments on, yeah. That during the public comment period. So it's surrounded by a neighborhood, residences, they have a 50-foot natural buffer on their side. And then all existing structures are proposed to be removed from this property. So although in the Central Pine Barrens, I do a little description, aerials show farmland dating back to 1962. Both lots were historically cleared prior to 1976, however, by 2004, before the vegetation starts to come back here. And that would be 19 years ago, obviously, that there's vegetation's been coming back. So lot number 6 vegetation to cover approximately 50%. You just don't, I don't know what the percentage
Is
is.
this current, Claire? This,
This is 2004,
the aerial?
this is 2004, what you're looking at now, and this
Okay,
is
really?
current.
That's current.
That's current. So
And could you point out where the buffer is on the adjacent properties?
this has a 50-foot buffer going along it
Okay.
as part of their subdivision. Yep.
On both sides.
Yeah, it goes to, the south of these properties and then the east of these properties, yeah.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah. I can show you the map if you needed to see it, but that's approximately what it's described. So this is, consists of a standard plan with 2 adjoining lots, and, the proposed 3-lot subdivision. I'll go back to the map shown there. And then this just describes the square footage. They're approximately, 90, lot number 1 is 92,000 square feet. Approximately, lot number 2 is 84,000 square feet, and lot number 3 is 84,000 and change. That conform with the zoning. It would be an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA, and it's a standard plan. The planning board waived, a cluster plan at the time of completeness. It's a minor subdivision.
Claire, am I correct that the shaded area on the applicant's lots, that those are gonna be driveways?
The shaded area is probably gonna be easements.
The common
It's a
driveway.
common
Proposed.
driveway easement, and then the hatched area is proposed driveway.
Yeah, the actual driveway would be the hatched area. The shaded area would be an easement
Okay.
on those lots.
So basically, there'll be no buffer on this property to the buffer that's adjacent to the property.
I think at the time, and I may be mistaken, I heard that the applicant had represented the north part of this would be a buffer, but it is only, I don't know, 10 feet wide.
How much?
20?
I didn't.
Oh, Wayne, why don't you don't mind, go ahead.
So, Wayne Bruin, O'Shea, Marcinsigan and Bruin, on behalf of the Delandro family. The plan, as you know, is a concept plan, a pre-application plan. The plan there, if you look at the aerial photograph, there's an existing driveway there that serves the farm property, and so the plan was to maintain that as a point of access for the common driveway to serve the 2 flag lots in the back. The plan was to locate that, the flag lots are 20-foot flags, so it would be 40 feet, and try to locate the driveway as far south and maintain the north existing vegetation. That was the concept that we submitted on, but we heard comments at the public hearing, and the client, is waiting to hear your comments as to what might be appropriate, but we did express that there would be willingness to increase the size of the buffer along the north side, so.
Okay, that would be good.
Another idea that staff had come up with is either, to either flip the driveway, since all the structures are coming down on the property. There's historically, this property seems to have worked with this lot in the past. The driveways are kind of shared, there's cuts and stuff like that. So you can see this cut, this goes right into the other property. So to introduce the driveway on this side with a small buffer might be appropriate instead.
There's no buffer on the south side. There's no natural
There's no
buffer.
natural.
Not natural buffer, but to have the access be on the side,
But
you
then there
know.
would be no buffer. The driveways would be right up, there'd be no buffer
You
between the
could.
existing properties.
You could do the same buffer that you're doing on the north side, which is a 20-foot buffer. You could plant it out, you could have a buffer.
Right, so
I'm just saying
everything's
impactfully,
vacant, yeah.
there's 2 lots on this side. There's actually 1 lot on this side. And instead of the other side, we could retain this vegetation on this side.
That would be good.
So that was one staff idea. The other staff idea is, it's 3 lots, 2 of them are flag strips. Here, I'm gonna show, I'll go back to back to this. Why not, instead of this, why not have the lot line be drawn this way, so there's 2 equal lots that have frontage with a shared driveway, but it could go, and then it could go in the back again. So that's
think
another
It's an
idea.
interesting alternative.
So it's just some the different
I
ways
mean,
to cut it.
I think a goal would be to keep vegetation that we have, since
Mhm.
it's APOD, even though it was farmed, and increase buffers wherever we can. So
Yeah.
whatever internal configuration works the best, Wayne, probably you have some ideas too, would be a good thing.
Mhm.
So I think in the end, I talked to Claire about
Did
this
you?
and those
Good.
two ideas, and we'll certainly go back to our client.
Okay.
And just to answer Mr. Finnerty's point is the property, as Claire indicated in the past, it seems when it was a farm and well, you saw all the greenhouse structures, it was such a, they sold flowers and other products on the property for many, many, many years, a florist activity there. It seemed like the houses that were there in the past on the properties to the south interacted, and as Claire said, there was a driveway at some point, but when the Delandro family purchased it, they eliminated that access because the farm activity was no longer occurring. And if you look closely, there is now a 6-foot stockade fence that runs along the adjoining property, along their common driveway on that property. So we will explore the alternatives that you suggested, and both, that Claire pointed out. They may both work, so.
Good, thank you, Wayne.
Okay.
Just a question on the adjacent lot 59.
I'm sorry, which one? This one?
The one with the tennis court on it?
Oh,
the
this
blue
one?
Tennis court.
Mhm.
Is- The buffer looks like it's less than the other ones have left, or is that compliant? You know? Okay, so just a note to flag, as we're considering the comments, you know, there is an encroachment on the buffer of that one lot that I think
Mhm.
needs to get flagged, and, you know, also in consideration of the other plans and moving the driveway.
Yeah,
And I think that was one of the public comments,
So
that lot.
that lot sent us, that was one of the lots that sent us correspondence?
I
Yes.
don't know for sure.
I think it is.
But I am going to check on its compliance. Pretty obvious.
Just to fairly consider all
Yeah, I
aspects.
mean, it looks sparse.
Instead of putting it all along the 2 blocks that,
If I may, I'll just hand you a survey, came out of the town GIS of that property. Mrs. Bach, who did call my office before the hearing, and she did attend the hearing, and she did comment about the buffer, but that's a survey that came from her.
I mean, one doesn't cancel out the other, but I think it's important to take a look.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right.
Tennis court is definitely,
Yeah, the tennis
the
court
buffer.
is in the buffer.
So, basically,
Where are you, Claire?
I'm
Park?
in page 3-8, compliance with the comp plan. It does appear to be compliance, the lots are conforming and are designed. Aquifer protection and overlay district, we talked about it before. The main lot, the bigger lot, has historic clearing, so they're exempt. The smaller lots would be subject to some clearing restrictions on the face of it. Then you can, you know, as the subdivision, you would keep a buffer, you know, have a buffer in the situation to make sure that vegetation's retained. Likewise with the Central Pine Barrens, they would have to meet their restrictions, has to comply with the health departments. And then also the park requirements, I believe it's subject to the 2,500 for each lot, because there's existing residences on the property, but we can go through that more clearly. Go ahead.
Is it one residence or?
There's 3 residences on the
residences?
property now. So
No.
we're creating 3 lots. We're not creating any more
Do you
dwellings
have
than already.
COs for those?
Yes.
Okay.
And
then-
your staff report identifies that right at the beginning.
Well, it's not my staff report. He couldn't come today, so.
No, but it describes the 3 dwellings on the property plus the other farm structures.
So there would be no fee, right?
That would be great.
Park
Okay. If there's-
Question mark.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna double check that information, but if there's 3 dwellings, there would be no park fee, so.
But that's
Okay.
true, that's if true, that actually have COs for all 3.
Correct, yeah, so we will double check that. And then my next page is for public comments, July 13th. There were public comments at both the hearing and written comments, and this is the summary. Concerns about the site plan proposing to place a 40-foot common access driveway along the northerly border, abutting residential properties at 7, 9, and 11 Blue Jay Way. Requests for a 50-foot vegetation buffer to be required and maintained along the northerly and westerly border for privacy and to match the required 40-foot buffer zones currently in place for houses along Blue Jay Way. Concerns about lack of notice, neighbors receiving regarding public hearing. Concerns over location of new waste disposal areas and disposal of septic and waste materials in overlay district and possible contamination of groundwater due to installation of new septic systems. Concerns over the proposed removal of existing natural vegetation as well as possible previous removal of existing natural vegetation. Concerns over potential flooding from stormwater due to reduced vegetation. Concerns whether cluster plan waiver should have been granted due to potential for open space. Concerns over compliance with town master plan, town code, with development in aquifer protection overlay district in Central Pine Barrens compatible growth area. Request that plan be changed to a major review instead of current minor review. Request for environmental impact study in a new public hearing.
Did we waive a cluster on this?
Yes,
Yes.
at the time of completeness, yes.
There's no open space.
So the reasons you gave, and I'm just gonna go back to that. It's on, towards the bottom of page 2. The site is not adjacent to open space or any potential for open space. If clustered, the amount of open space achieved would be negligible. The sites are currently developed with single-family residences. So that's why we waived it.
One thing I think would be interesting, and Wayne, this is just a question for the client, because it is in the APOD and Central Pine Barrens, although it is in the compatible growth area, if they would be willing to consider a revegetation plan, even though the site was historically cleared. I think that addresses some of the privacy issues as well as the groundwater recharge area. So worth a question, although it's not required because it's historically cleared.
You can put it in a comment, I'll ask my client, but it sounds like
Great, thanks.
6 acres of revegetation that is an awful.
Oh, I'm not
expensive
saying
proposition.
6 acres, because obviously there's development areas there, but worth an ask, thank you.
Maybe to get closer to the 50%.
Or 25. I mean, it's fully cleared
Well,
now, so it'd be nice to
get
see some
closer
of that.
too.
Sure.
For the fire prevention, some standard language. Proposed lots are accessible via common driveway off of Quad Riverhead Road. Street addresses, driveways should comply. The area is served by public service, water mains, and fire hydrants. No comments from the fire district, no comments received from the engineering division. Trails advisory board, no comments. Conservation, remnant woods at the historically cleared tract are an available part of the relic forest of Central Pine Barrens compatible growth area and therefore warrant protection to the maximum extent practicable as part of the 3-lot subdivision. The Pine Grove West, along the west lot line, supports wildlife and has habitat connective functions as evidenced by the flock of wild turkey traveling through this natural cover at the time of inspection. Conservation easements need to be required, extending 60 feet east of the westerly line and 60 feet south from the northerly lot line in order to build upon the abutting subdivision buffers and to maintain existing animal movement corridors with this natural corridor kept unfenced. This design change will necessitate relocation of the common driveway access to the southern part of the tract. Existing bamboo and abutting non-compliant deer fence need to be removed. Is the deer fence on your property?
No, if I can, just one clarification, you said 60 feet from east of the westerly
Yes.
line and
30
30?
feet.
You said 60, so I just want to make sure.
I'm sorry, 30, yes.
Okay. Existing bamboo, so our client had received notice and removed bamboo in the past. In fact, this is a picture from a few years back showing the bamboo that was on the property that no longer exists, although there's probably vestige because you can't get rid of that. So
It's
they will
terrible.
continue to try to get rid of the bamboo. As far as any fences, I believe the deer fences are the adjoining property owners, as the Conservation Board noted, abutting.
Oh, okay.
So I think they're
Another
not
one?
our deer fence, but if we do have a deer fence, I don't know why we would, but we'll look into it, but I think it's neighbors.
It's in that, okay.
Okay. So they didn't have any deer protection when they were a flower farm, right?
No, it was primarily,
The
this goes
greenhouse.
back to the sixties or so.
Ah, that's when it was.
So, and they were into the seventies and early eighties, I think, with the outdoor and the greenhouses for the floors.
Okay.
Keep around the big lot.
Greenhouses are safer from the deer.
I think there weren't that many deer.
No, they aren't. We took their land. Okay, Claire?
And number 6 is native street trees, which I think is a good, if there's not there, I think that would be good. It's an addition. Landmarks received this as a referral. Had the following comments: the lot combination and subsequent 3-lot subdivision is of no concern relative to historic preservation values. A preliminary review and site visit by members Davis and Wisnowski shows a single-family residence single-family residence house dates from circa 1913 for Joseph Strand maybe, who operated as a florist. Original architectural style of main residence at 2901 is comprised by subsequent additions and renovations. Other structures of later origin are of no concern. Future review waived for any demolition application for structures on parcels. And they authorize the removal for this flag. So those are the comments. East Quogue Citizens Advisory, no comments. Suffolk County Health Department, no comments. And Suffolk County Public Works provided the following comments. It's typical, they give some designs for driveways, construction, so the applicant needs to meet that requirement. Central Pine Barrens received the secret coordination material. Proposal constitutes development activity in Pine Barrens, and they must meet the land use plan, which we will ensure during the process. So that's like a summary of that. So recommendations, we can go through them. Consider relocating common driveway access to the south side to alleviate concerns over the removal of natural vegetation. So the aqua protection subject parcels are located within the aqua protection overlay district and subject to clearing restrictions.
Going back to number 1,
Yep.
you want to put in your other suggestion?
In the middle.
The suggestion
The
of
other layer.
re-registration? Oh, no, the other one? Yeah. Do you want to investigate
include
that,
that.
the two
Well,
lots in the
yeah.
front?
Any other alternative they
Yeah.
can think about.
Mhm.
Okay.
That maintains the existing vegetation on the north and west side.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to be creative.
Mhm.
And if the applicant is willing to listen, why not?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I said consider 2 lots with frontage along Quogue Riverhead Road, and then with the 1 flag strip in the back with the southern access. Okay, and then there would be 3, the new 3 would be the subject parcels are located in APOD. Currently existing lot number 6 is cleared at approximately 50%, so you'd want to show accurately what the clearing is. Percentage, I'm not quite sure what it is.
So the plan, this note indicates that as if there were 2 lots, separate lots here, and in fact, as indicated, there are 2 tax lots which are being combined, and so the entire property is in front of the board. The amount of clearing on the entire site is listed on the plan. But that, I think, goes back to the comment that Kate
Okay.
just
That happens to me, too.
referenced. Yeah.
Well, so it's 2 tax lots. If we were looking at these separately, that would be 1 lot, and it would have clearing on it. So it would not be under the substantially cleared portion, because the vegetation's been there for over 20 years. That's what I'm saying, is that 1 lot that's in the north is subject to APOD.
Well, they're
Was
both
that
are.
lot one or?
The other lot is substantially cleared, so it's a 5-something acre parcel or whatever that is,
Mhm.
it's substantially clear. I mean, that would be my, that would be my
Do you
interpretation
want
of
us
the
to
code.
manipulate the calculations to figure out 50% clearing on the front lot, the northerly lot, which we're leaving, not touching anything anyway?
That would be great, and that would, I think that would be a baseline, and that would say, yes, you meet APOD, because here's the vegetation, it's,
But these lots are merging, right?
they're
into-
going to be merged,
Into one.
and- yes.
And we're discussing possibly putting them back together in several different ways.
Right,
Yeah.
So
exactly.
then the conversation about what's applicable for APOD has to change.
It would, but I think you have to have a baseline, and that's what I'm saying. Let's, say, yeah, exactly.
Four?
4 is the consideration of the 60-foot conservation easement on the west side, which was the suggestion of the Conservation Board. Do you think that's appropriate, 50 feet?
What about the north?
Yes, and then on the north one too, also.
My 4 is,
And north was 30.
30
Yeah.
from the,
I think we were suggesting 50 and 50 on either one, both of them. Be consistent,
too.
that was the request.
that was the request.
50 and 50.
I think that'd be
Yeah.
consistent.
What was on the adjoining property.
Yeah,
Right.
Then you create a 100-foot corridor
yeah, be
for
lovely.
the turkeys. Exactly. Okay, I would say so. Let's change it to 50 and add the 50 to the north side. And then compliance with future town engineer requirements, of course, the Health Department of Public Works. So the Conservation Board, I think those were what came out of their comments, and they did suggest the flipping of the driveways, so I think that works, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna explicitly say that, I'm just going to.
Just say,
Yeah, exactly. And then the fire prevention, of course.
Is there a hydrant? I'm sorry, did we discuss that? Is there one right on the street? Yeah.
Yeah, just indicated if it's not already indicated. And then SECR prior to it, and then Health Department approval, and the final application. So I'm recommending adoption of the. Oh, did you want me to add the language about the consider additional vegetation? We talked
Yeah, I
about
guess it
that.
kind of ties into point number 2 on the recommendations, right?
Yeah.
So
Street
you're
trees.
referencing it.
Oh, and the street trees.
And the street
Thank
trees,
you.
yeah. So that's it's all wrapped into the same issue, which is, it is APOD, it was historically cleared, there's an opportunity to re-veg, which is nice. So you're referencing in comment number 2 on the recommendations that the APOD would apply to lot 1 because it's 50% cleared, but what we're saying is that we would look at the whole lot as the APOD. So does that recommendation need to change, or do we need to reflect that somewhere?
Well, I think you want additional revegetation, right, for the purposes of enhancing the resource, right?
Right.
Okay.
So the comment number 2
Mm-hmm.
is gonna be stricken for a comment that states that the APOD is looking at the full 2-lot merger, right? Not just this lot 1, or both? How are we handling the APOD
You're trying to-
application of the
you're-
rule, right?
you're
Is it to
both-
this
we're
one
both
lot?
asking the same
or
question.
That's up to the planning board. At the end of
Right.
the day, you have to say that the resource is retains in equivalence. That's your standard when you look at any site disturbance. So what I'm saying is, let's start with baseline, okay? So
Right.
we have 2 lots, obviously farmed, and even lot number 1 was farmed at one point, but since then, 20 years has been revegetation, so quality vegetation's come back on lot number 1.
Right.
We want to retain that.
Mhm.
So what's that? What is that? Is that 50% of the property? Is it 45% of the property? Is it 60% of the property? But what they're entitled to, if they just cleared it and put a house on there right now, 50%. That's what they're
So
entitled
Wayne
to.
has to give you a percentage.
Just, that would be, okay,
what-
that's what you.
I raised the same question,
Right,
and that's what
because your
Claire
current
responded, give
build
me the
area-
calculations, because in theory, if you were looking at these as two separate lots, the northerly lot would be, depending, entitled to a certain percentage clearing or not, as grandfathered. The lot below, because it was almost entirely cleared under the code, would be exempt from the aquifer protection overlay districts. And that's what Claire
Lot
was
two.
trying to say,
Right.
not on the map, but the two tax lots.
Okay.
That's what she's making the
This one
distinction. So
versus
she
this.
wants us to give the calculations, the plan already gives you the calculation overall.
Mm-hmm.
She wants us to do it for the two separate tax lots right now and
Right.
determine, at least as a starting point for discussion. Regardless of that, is your recommendation that we consider revegetation? Or at least incorporating, as part of someone's plans to build, that they have to revegetate
Yes.
or leave portions in their natural
Natural
state. So
state.
if something that doesn't get built in 10 years, they're not gonna be farming this, for
Right,
10
who
years.
knows what it'll
So it
look
could be
like.
left in something like that. We'll work on some part of the plan.
I
And
guess
does the
what I-
bamboo get taken out as part of this whole process?
The bamboo that was there about 5 years ago was taken out, but there's still vestiges in the property.
You'll be taking that out for another 5 years, every year or more.
And is that, would they describe that in the western buffer that we're
It was
establishing?
partially in a part of that. You can see it on that area.
Yeah, you can see it.
Where was.
Especially in the north.
So part of
Right,
that
part of
was
it's in the
taken out.
buffer, like,
Okay.
you get the picture.
So, Wayne, so you're gonna be reconfiguring this to accommodate the 50-foot buffer on the westerly side? Because right now, it looks like this building lot, this
That just
buildable
shows the
area
building
would-
envelope.
Okay,
So it doesn't show any buffers on that plan. And
Right.
so with the final map, we'll show buffers, the 50 feet that you're suggesting.
okay.
And
50 feet on the side.
if we cannot come up with an alternative plan, I'm gonna at least discuss and try to twist my client's arm to move the common driveway down. It would be further into the lots, but at least provide 50-foot buffer before the driveway, if that
Sure.
remains the plan, if it's not flipped or the other alternative or some other alternative. So, but either way, we're gonna try to accommodate the 50-foot buffer on the north side as well.
Great.
I guess what I'm still questioning is, do we need something in this report to talk to the overall goal of trying to revegetate?
You're gonna
Yes,
add that.
and that was gonna be my, next part of that, consider revegetation of the overall parcel up to 25% with natural vegetation?
I'd say go to
Whatever
50, what the
APOD
requirement is for
to.
APOD, and let them
Okay.
respond what they
Okay.
think, because
Yeah.
then you can work with that 50% and see if it
If it works.
works, and if it doesn't, then, you can have a conversation from there.
Okay. Good. Okay, so I have it. Remove the bamboo, street trees, and additional language.
Right. Anything else? Anything further? Wayne, motion by Dennis to adopt this. Report is revised. Second by Kate. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Okay.
So my next one is Long Island Resource Corp. Tesla.
Number 10. 54 Montauk Highway.
Yep, I'm gonna give you the plans and then I'm gonna pull up the plans here. So we got a fresh, new, referral from the fire marshal today.
So,
Yeah.
Hey, Lisa.
hello.
So what I have given you is the draft,
Thank you.
draft decision. Fire marshal, comments came in today, so we'll incorporate those
Okay.
in. I think really what we're down to is like the signage on the property and the fire marshal
Right.
comments related to the battery storage and drunk
Okay.
tank.
I think we approved the signage, no?
The signage?
We had some,
I
one
can't remember,
one thing
sorry.
came off the
Yeah,
building. Yeah,
we moved the T over with Tesla
yeah.
and merged it together. It was submitted with the revised
Right.
renderings. And also the ARB reviewed everything and approved it
Yeah,
at the time.
that's what we did.
Yeah, well, I got this on July
Oh,
31st.
Lisa Poyer with Twin Forks Permits, on behalf of the applicant, as well as John Bennett with Bennett and Reed.
Great.
So we have new plans with the dunk tank information, and then we got a, overview from Tesla on the description, which I think I sent to you. Right, do you wanna summarize that, description?
Sure, it's very short and brief, and I can
Yeah,
send
you
an
can read
additional copy. This is in response to the fire marshal's comments. This letter serves to address the battery cell dunk tank discharge process at the Tesla Service Center, located at 54 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York. Tesla service centers do not accept vehicles that have been physically damaged. Collision centers receive the damaged vehicles. In the event that a damaged vehicle is brought to the Tesla Service Center, a tow truck will be rerouted to the nearest Tesla Collision Center. So basically, they're not coming here. In the extreme rare event that a battery dunk discharge is required, the procedure will operate as follows. The empty dunk tank will be removed from the interior location, and it's shown on the revised site plan, interior floor plan that was submitted along with this letter. It will then be filled with water. Concurrently, the battery pack will be removed from the vehicle and disassembled by a specially trained technician. The affected modules will be placed into the dunk tank. Hazardous stanchions will be placed around the tank, and a canopy with 4 posts will be placed over the tank. Storm drain covers will be placed on nearby storm drains. The cells will be left in the tank until they're de-energized. Technicians will periodically check the cell voltage using a multimeter. Once it has been confirmed that all cells in the tank read 0 volts, they will be removed from the tank. The removed de-energized cells will be sent for recycling. Water in the tank is neither a health nor environmental hazard. The water will be pumped into a collection tank and collected by a third-party vendor for disposal, and then the empty tank will then be relocated back inside the facility.
How long would this take?
This is in the rare occasion
In the-
that something happens there, damaged vehicles are not sent back to dealerships. They're just not sent there.
It depends on the voltage in the battery to begin with. So
Do we have a range? Is it like 2 days or 4
It's
hours?
typically like 1 to 3 days.
And does someone have to monitor that?
It's water. It's literally, they move this empty tank out, they fill it with water.
That's the dunk tank.
That's the dunk tank. And then they put the battery cell in there, and like it says, someone will periodically monitor and check the voltage on it.
And they'll have to inform the fire marshal, that's part of the
Correct.
requirements the fire marshal's having, is
Has the
that they
fire
inform
marshal
them.
weighed in on this?
Yeah, so the latest comments, and they are in your packet. So in the packet is the draft decision, and then the next page is their comments. Which you want me to read it to you?
Read
Yeah.
those, Claire, yeah.
So, requirements from a site plan review shall remain in effect. Information required in the May 22nd plans review have been received. Proposed location of dunk tank when in use is adequately located away from any structures on the property. Hazard identification and safeguards appear adequate. Dunk tank shall be monitored to prevent unwarranted and public access. In the event that a battery dunk discharge is required and is an extremely rare event according to information provided, notification shall be made to this office and to the Southampton Fire Department at the below phone numbers, and they give them. So we'll have that right in our decision as a condition of approval.
Those are fine conditions. Sure.
Yeah, and then, just so you know, I always think the fire marshal wants bollards around everything, but in this case, they're not recommending that, so that condition in our decision will be taken out.
So they're comfortable with it, and the site plan shows where the dunk tape goes.
Yes, and it's, I have it up, so I can show you right here.
Mhm.
It's right here, next to the walkway, but up, as I say, away from the building, to prevent the interaction.
In the back.
And that is a non-public access area, so it will be gated off, and it's,
So if you want to go over the conditions.
Sure.
That would be the first page. So changes, our typical condition 1A is all changes, but B is going to be stricken for the bollards. C notes the parking within 50 feet to be customer parking only, so just a note on the plan. And then, of course, the fire commercial conditions, so those will be incorporated. I think these are all just general conditions that they're gonna have to meet. So I'll take out D. So the lighting plans I reviewed, they're not specified for the LED, but they look like some of them might be 4,000 K, so they all have to just be revised to be 3,000, so.
That's fine.
I'm just, sending that, noting that. The signage, you had, approved it. I just want them to note the colors and materials on the buildings. So the signs are good. And then this is the landscape plan, so I had suggested in the staff report that they show a boxwood line, and they have, there's also existing street trees. I just want them to note them on the plans so we know where they are. So I'm asked them to do that. And then there's just general conditions: no outdoor display or storage within 50 feet transition yard. Dumpsters shall conform to the code. Installation of the Knox box, meet all the requirements of the fire marshal and fire district. So this is where I'll put their actual specifications of notification. And then the town engineer fee, all HVAC systems shall be screened, no installation of dusted on lighting fixtures, and all lighting to be shielded. And then affidavit, 6 sets of plans, and a maintenance bond for the landscaping plan. That's my recommendation.
Good. Any questions, John? When are they gonna move in?
Colette's still there.
Colette's still there, and the property's still for sale?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire.
Motion to adopt by George, second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Have a good afternoon.
So my next one then is
East Quad Mobile Home Park.
This one, we haven't discussed the staff report yet, so I want to pass that out and have a discussion. The action deadline's September 14th on this one.
Hey, Kim. How you doing?
How are you? You have new plans, right?
Yeah, I handed them to you, remember?
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
There's
I know.
some minor, there's some smaller sets, but Tom, you wanna put?
I have some
larger one?
smaller sets and I have the larger set.
I think we have enough smaller sets for the board.
Okay.
Tom Wolfert and John Bennett. What's your name?
Yes, give us your names for the record.
Kimberly Judd, my assistant John Bennett.
John Bennett for the
I'm
applicant.
honored.
We had small plans, you said that?
They're here, they're
Yeah.
coming.
Oh,
They're coming.
okay,
And
Claire.
just give us your name.
Thomas Wolpert with Young and Young of Riverhead for the applicant.
Thank you.
Do you want to go through the staff report and then we'll talk about the issues?
Please.
Okay. So this is, and you've seen this at a pre-submission. Actually, let me just bring up.
Like I said, do you mind putting up an area?
Yeah, let's do the aerial. You've got the plans. Those are the latest and greatest in front of you, so. Here, we're in East Quogue already, so. Let's move down Old Country Road. So this is the entire property, right? It goes back and it's in the aquifer protection. But here's the situation with the existing units. Now, there was some discussion on the units. I had to count the number of units several times. The ZBA mentioned 102 mobile home units maximum. John, do you want to describe this? What's the situation?
There's 102 mobile home units, but there's also a regular single-family residence on the property, and it's on the certificate of occupancy. So that may have been the confusion. So one of the homes is not a mobile home per se, it's a traditional single-family residence.
Yeah.
But the CO says that, so that may be the confusion.
Yeah,
There's
so that's just
102
noted.
mobile homes.
Yeah.
One,
And one
I don't want to say this, I hate to say, can I say regular? I can't say regular. It's
conventional.
one stick-built, regular, single-family residence.
So do you know which one that is? Like what number that is?
It's right on the road. It's right on the road.
Oh, which
Yes,
number?
it's in the front section.
Yeah, it's in section 1,
To the corner?
south of the
In the
railroad.
southerly section.
Yeah.
Oh.
This?
I think that
Yes.
is it, yes.
This one, okay.
Yes,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Looks like it has a traditional gable roof.
right,
That's really the only possible candidate there, isn't it?
right.
Yeah, it's seen from the
So
road, you can see right
It's
from
in the
road.
middle southerly part of the southerly parcel?
This section, 1 through 16 is section 1 or section 2? It's not.
There's approximately 43 units in section 1. And as we move northerly, the density gets less and less.
Before anyone forgets, I want to remind that one of the great things about this program is these units are essentially on cesspools now, and with much great help from the Suffolk County Department of Health Services, we're creating IA systems for these units that are being moved. So that's just a great thing.
Is it an IA system, or
Yeah.
is it like a big general system capturing all?
How would you describe it, Tom?
It's a large IA system.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can it handle more going in the future? Or
Or
will they have to
There's
build a new-
potential for expansion, however, the current design takes advantage of the lay of the land and allows the collection of the wastewater to flow by gravity.
No pumping,
So to,
no pump stations.
yeah, no pump station. If there was any intent to sewer the older units, they would require pumping because the property slopes, the grade of the property is higher as you move north.
Why would you call this an IA system and not a sewage treatment plant?
Because there's a significant difference.
I
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
that.
Yeah, but they're not requiring that. They're just happy we're doing the IA system.
I guess I was not aware that you could have a giant IA system.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, yeah,
yeah,
you can
yeah.
put the treatment units in parallel and thereby achieve greater capacities. So, if I can find the sheet quickly.
Yeah, four tanks, 4 separate collection tanks, looks like.
Yeah, looks like, right on the match line, right?
This is happening over at one of the motels in Hampton Bays, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I mean, this is,
Yeah.
I'm asking because
No,
I
no,
want to
no,
know.
no, I understand.
It-
No.
It's,
Valid.
it's very common with
Could
other
you say which
projects
page
throughout the
of our
county.
packet?
I'm sorry?
Could you say which page of our packet that
Oh.
you're looking at?
Of the, okay, so you're looking at the reduced print.
Second to the last page of the packet, would you consider you took the railroad track?
I'm looking at like the third page down, I see the IA system.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's on,
The third or the fourth?
But
on
it's
page
the big-
3,
but
on
pond,
page 3.
Where it has a big plumbing area next to it.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
4 treatment units and a few clusters of sanitary leaching pools. But the beauty of this is that everything is collected in a common sewer down the middle of the road, individual house connections, and runs through first a grid chamber, which the manufacturer recommends. And actually, the owner has experience in other parts of the Northeast and is agreeable to putting in a grid chamber before they mess up the treatment units. Health Department is supportive of that design as well.
So this that we're looking at on page 3 is the new proposed area
Yes.
where these would be moved to.
Correct.
And the existing mobile homes on the section that they're being moved from will be abandoned, or?
Yes, never to
okay.
return.
Okay, gotcha. I want to make sure I understood what's happening exactly.
So each
Even though we
mobile home
review.
now has a separate kind of system,
Well,
a cesspool.
each 1 or 2 or 3 units has an old cesspool.
Old school.
Could be block.
Do you have a survey of that existing section where we
Yes.
could see, is that in this packet?
Well, it doesn't call out the
I don't have that
individual septic
with me,
systems,
but
though.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna call that. They're block antiquated, they're cesspools. It
It's a
probably
hole
doesn't-
in the ground.
It's a hole in the
Right.
ground, thank you.
I mean,
Yeah.
typically
Maybe
Suffolk
it's-
County does require you to locate the existing
Well, they're not on
system,
this,
even if
though.
it is.
They're not on this, though.
No, they have not asked for that. We have a initial notice back from the Suffolk County Health Department, Office of Wastewater Management, and they have not asked for those locations.
And are they
They'll
asking?
be abandoned.
Right,
They'll
so
be
they
abandoned.
will have to be located and tested to be abandoned, and I just wonder how far you are in that process.
Well, as,
Well, that's all, actually, that's all, we'll answer it to the extent that we can, but that's all clearly outside of the jurisdiction of this board.
I can ask a question.
You can ask the question, but I can also make the comment that it's outside of your jurisdiction.
What's gonna happen to the land that existing, that the homes are on?
question for John.
Excuse me?
You're revegetating?
You're gonna
Yeah.
revegetate all that property?
No, it's not outside of the, it's outside of the Aquifer Protection Overlay
So you're
District,
just
so probably just
demolishing, you're gonna
lawn.
demolish the homes?
Yeah, probably move the homes, they'll probably be regraded and seeded with grass or something like that.
Oh, just
Yeah,
lawn.
it's just no,
Okay.
yeah,
Right,
we're
but-
outside of that.
But just to clarify, there's 43 units, only 21 of them are being relocated, so that, you know,
Oh.
22 will remain behind.
So there'll still be a community over there,
I see,
yeah.
okay.
But the areas where they, that are being vacated would be restored.
Revegetated, yeah.
Yeah,
With grass or revegetated?
just grass. It's outside the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, it's outside the Pine Barrens, so we're not gonna put anything other than
Right,
just grass.
topsoil on seed.
Topsoil on seed.
So, and just to remind me of this new section is outside of the APOD or the Central Pine Barrens?
No,
And
the
is
new
it
section-
cleared or vegetated?
The new section is both in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District and in the Pine Barrens. Probably 90% of it is in the compatible growth area, which is where the development's happening.
And is it cleared now or vegetated?
We have all those numbers on the plans.
The last sheet in
Great,
your
let's
set
review
shows
it.
the existing
The area?
conditions.
Yep.
Thank you. As you know, John, we review a lot of plans, so it's helpful as we're discussing to just
No, I don't have any
revisit.
problem with that.
Thanks.
So it goes generally in this area.
Okay, so it's
That's the
gonna be
Pine
generally
Barrens,
vegetated.
core, is it any?
No, it's only a bit of
Core
it that's in the
incredible?
core. yeah.
Core is up here, but I can put the line on if you wanna see
Yeah.
it.
About the top 10 acres, if I remember.
Yeah, 11 acres
Yeah.
is cool, all the way to the northern top.
Here we go. So that's compatible growth area, and then it's just the, it's about 1,000 feet, I think, generally,
Yeah.
speaking from the highway.
So can you just put your cursor over the area where the mobile homes are being transferred from on the area
I'm not
here? I
trying
know
to
we have it on
be
the
super
plans.
exact, but somebody can tell
Probably
me which
it's
lot.
Probably near that cul-de-sac on, what's that, the old, was that Malloy?
I don't think it
subdivision?
goes this
Is that
far
what that is?
though.
Being relocated from is south of the
No, I think
railroad.
it's like
Even
this,
south of there?
right?
Okay,
And it's
alright.
kind of at an angle, am I mistaken?
Okay,
Well,
so
how about from
So-
Malloy, like it goes up from Malloy and matches up with one of these houses. Can
Oh,
you-
I was using Malloy as the name of this, I think Malloy did the subdivision years ago, I'm showing my age, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
It's in between, Claire, it's in between the cul-de-sac and Malloy,
Okay, so like if you do halfway?
halfway,
Yeah,
yes, right
like
there.
this, like this.
17.1% of the overall parcel is going to be, will end up, will be cleared either as a result of existing clearing or proposed clearing,
Okay,
which is
and
well
then-
within the Pine Barren standard.
Sure, and then where they're coming from, you were saying is south of the
The railroad tracks.
railroad
South of the
tracks.
tracks.
Can you just go down to that area so we could just look at it?
Mhm.
Thank you.
So they're coming from this, the 21 of the 43 are coming out of this area. And I think you represented they were ready for like 4 or 5 to go right away, right? And the rest is like a waiting game.
There were at least three or four
Mhm.
that were either left to the park because people passed away, or there's about 3 or 4 right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask what's the rationale for which half are you moving? Are you doing like one whole section and moving one whole section, or every other one, or?
The southern section are the oldest homes in the park. They've been built in the 50s. So the rationale is to move the old homes first because they're all sharing cesspools, and to relocate them to the back of the property.
Yeah, but we don't
as-
have any protocol for whether or not, the all of them to the right side or the east are gonna be moved or anything, they'll just cherry pick.
I was just getting back to the area, you're gonna, have
So it's
an
not
open
one
space
home.
now between them, or is there gonna be a whole section?
No.
Excuse me, a
there's-
whole section
no.
open, that's what I was kinda getting
I
at.
believe it's a function of as the unit becomes available.
Okay.
Because the intent of the owner is not to kick anybody out. But
So
as a
Oh, so
unit-
it's like at conveyance, it would.
Yes.
Right, so it could be here, there, it's
Exactly.
not one whole thing.
No, it's
Okay.
not one whole block, no.
Right.
Okay.
So, we were going to suggest like a phasing plan, just so that we have our head around it. So you can probably do that, right?
Explain that to me, Jackie, in terms of a phasing plan.
You know, when you're going to start and how many you think you might, I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, I don't know that it is, because
If-
it's,
If he's doing it on sort of a one-by-one basis, you know?
well, the infrastructure is gonna be
He's
built.
putting that in.
It's just gonna go right in.
So the
Okay, so that
the
at
giant
least-
iron
Yeah,
is going
yeah.
in.
And
That
then the
was gonna be my
pads for
question.
Right,
to
so
set
that's
it
at
all
least
up.
phase one. I mean, so we can get our head around
Okay,
it.
that
Phase
makes
one,
sense.
you're gonna put in the
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure. Yep.
And create 21 vacant lots, if you will.
right.
Well,
perfect.
we're not gonna call them lots because,
Well,
I don't wanna say that, because that.
Spaces?
Spaces. The
Spaces?
plots,
Lots.
yeah.
Lots.
No, because that, I'm gonna talk about that later, because I think the Pine Barrens reviewer got a little bit confused with that, because they're not lots.
Right, no, they aren't.
No, they're not, no.
Well, do you foresee this, I mean, our site plan's only valid for 2 years.
Mhm.
Do you see this taking longer than 2 years? I do.
Yeah.
Well,
I think so.
it's interesting, I guess it depends upon what the definition of a site plan is. If you've built out all of the infrastructure and are just waiting for these things to be put on pads, I think the only thing that you need is for the building permit to put the new pads on. Would you wanna review the?
Kind of like a gray area, though, but technically it is still a site plan, because you're not, they're not single and separate lots on a map.
So each time a new unit comes in?
It'd be
Gets
in
a little
accordance with
cumbersome.
this approved site plan. It's an incremental.
That's
phase-
interesting.
It's an incremental, in other words, we're not filing, you're not filing a map with the county.
Right.
So the only other venue you could move forward with is having a site plan with incremental. Now, I don't know if there's a mechanism to build that into the site plan so it wouldn't expire. So in other words, have your site plan, as long as your infrastructure and everything goes in, the site plan can anticipate the incremental movement, just like a site plan anticipates delivery trucks coming
Right,
in
right,
and,
right,
you know, displays coming up and down.
Well, I
But
know
I would
as it relates, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would think that, we have an approved site plan with spaces.
But Claire's worried about
Plots.
expiration.
But the site plan per se, once
That
it's
is
built,
approved.
is approved.
And then it's
Then the-
up to them to, when they move
It's
one
a
or
gray
two.
area.
It's a gray
Because
area,
I'm
but
thinking of building permits, usually you go
Right.
and you get a
Yeah.
building permit when you want a new mobile unit to go in.
Mhm.
One could argue that since it's not a single-family residence,
Right.
there's some
These are permitted
amendment of a site,
activities.
site
Think of a
plan.
commercial, so you're saying a commercial site plan. It contemplates permitted activities,
Right.
and that's it. We don't have to renew a site plan every time,
You don't
new
have to come
deliveries
back.
come in and, as long as it's anticipated.
So you'd have to make a finding that,
Yeah.
that it.
Yeah. It's funny, my brain is hurting
It's-
because,
it's
because
unique, Claire.
we don't get involved in,
Yeah.
we do
The
not get
mobile
involved in
homes.
mobile home parks usually.
Unlike East
No, this
Hampton,
is
by the
a-
way.
This is a
Oh, really?
new thing for us.
Yeah.
Have you been out?
What?
Well, and how do you make
You
sure
said-
that it's a one-for-one, right? Because once the system is in there and the pads are in place.
Well, that's a
and
bit-
then,
it might
you
be a
know,
Part of the
building
put
condition.
one in,
department.
you have to
That'd
take
be
the other
part
one
of the
out.
condition.
It might be the building
That's right.
department coming out and saying, this is the approved plan, there was 21 lots, this is going in.
So one of the
lot number
conditions,
20.
one of the conditions of the site plan could simply be the building department confirmation that it's that the new unit is going in, and a unit is being removed. Because otherwise it gets unnecessarily cumbersome. to-
And-
Yeah.
And the building
yeah.
department does that already with other mobile home parks, right? To make sure they don't go over their density.
Yeah, and
It's- it's
they
a
don't
building
ask, they don't
permit
have to come in
application.
and get site plan approval.
No, but I do
Yeah.
get asked that question,
Yeah.
and, and I say, no, we don't have that jurisdiction.
Unlike
As long as it's
East
got
Hampton.
approved.
Unlike East Hampton.
Well, I was sitting in an East Hampton Planning Board meeting one time, 25 years ago, and some poor guy was in there trying to get an addition to his deck of 5 feet, and he'd been there for a year and a half. That's it.
So Tom, what level of infrastructure will you be putting in, when you say the infrastructure you're doing? Your sanitary system, your
We would,
Roadways.
the infrastructure that we would put in would include the sanitary collection system, the treatment system, the drainage system,
All the
the
underground.
pavement.
roadways for the
on-
new, roadways for the new area?
I'm sorry?
The roadways for the new area? Will
Yep.
you be pouring the pads that the units will go on as well as part of it?
Yeah, you'll
Okay,
be
so-
pouring the pads, so
Right,
it's
so-
all there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I
that's
think
why,
it-
that's
It's
what I'm
all
getting
laid
at.
out,
You're-
yeah.
If you
putting
want to
everything
say
in, except
completion
you're
of all improvements,
Placing a building on the pad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can we say
That's right.
completion of all improvements before the installation of,
yeah, well, we would want that, yeah.
because you want that anyway, right?
Yeah, so put that in phasing.
Okay. I mean, that's what the intention is anyway. No
Yes.
one's gonna wanna go in there and, you wanna go in there and get it done.
They want it organized,
Yeah.
yeah.
And are we specific the number of units? So-
21.
21.
Does say it,
But maybe
that's-
not
I
all
wanna
at
make
the
sure it
same
says that.
time.
Right,
you
that's
know,
right.
time.
Right.
And that's what the
Could be
mechanism
here
we were
and
talking
there,
about,
and-
yeah.
But if we say 21, then you know when you've hit the limit. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Mhm.
And you somehow link it to the removal of
Somebody will.
this one to the placement of that, right?
Mhm.
Well, that was my suggestion. The building department's gonna have to not only be happy that the new unit going in meets whatever codes they want, but they're gonna have to confirm that one of the other units has been removed. That, I don't have a problem with that, because
And
otherwise.
then it gets hooked up to the,
Yeah.
to the
Building
SEP,
department would do that.
IA and water, you know, it's like,
Yes.
this, it's a CO, but it's not.
No, yeah, I guess, yeah, right, no, it's true.
So, does your client have any plans to upgrade the wastewater treatment in this area of concern, I guess, over time, in terms of phasing, once there is more?
What
lot
area? What area?
In the area where you're saying they're just.
The,
In the area to
added-
the south?
Mhm.
No. No. No, I'm not committing to that.
Do you take
Well-
up pads there? Are there, when you move one in the old section? Is there a concrete pad under those?
not always.
Oh, not,
Right.
okay, that's how
The old
old they are.
section, the old
Yeah.
section goes back to.
Fifties?
the
Yeah, that's
50s,
probably on cinder
yeah.
blocks.
I mean,
Yeah,
that would
cinder
probably
blocks.
be my guess would be that would be self-enforcing if you want to take a unit out that has another bedroom. Maybe you have to make that unit comply. I don't know, but that, I would leave that to any requirements of the, wastewater management or anything on the remaining units on the south.
Yeah, I'm assuming that you're gonna get rid of whatever detritus is left, because the people who are still living there aren't gonna be happy if you leave a mess. You're gonna have to,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
pick
just,
up-
that's just.
Go pick up the
Absolutely.
cinder blocks
Yeah.
and whatever's
Yep.
left.
Yeah, no.
But,
And seed it,
But-
make it look better. Claire, you wanna continue going through this?
I haven't started. Let me, but this is all good. This is the basis of the
No, it's good. It's
conversation.
important.
So,
Yeah.
just want to point out, secret has not been done on this yet. When we deem this complete, the applicant wanted to get some public input first. I'm not hearing any special environmental concerns yet from you, but if you, as we go through it, just think about the standards in your brain, as if you, because you need to do a secret
Well, I think
determination.
to follow up on Kate's concern, is there any remediation necessary in the old section when a manufactured home is moved? Is there anything that we need to be concerned about here environmentally? Is there an old tank in the ground that needs to come up?
Right,
Do they
typically
want
the
to-
septic system is abandoned and that has to be
Yeah.
tested to see if it needs to be pumped out if there's contaminants in there. And
Well, we'll
so,
follow
you know,
the wastewater management, we'll follow
Right.
the health department standards on that
Great.
for removal.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's probably the biggest one, Claire.
Okay, I'll make sure I note that in the
Maybe
documents.
just to expand a little bit on what Kate was saying, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think what she was also asking was, in this southern section, after a certain number of units have been moved, can there be scope, and is your client willing to actually put in a smaller separate IE system to hook up the remaining units?
Not
in
at
that
this
area?
point, not at this point, because a lot of this ability to do this is based upon funding.
He's getting
They're
funding.
But maybe a
right
future-
now.
No, the county's gonna help out.
County?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
so
gonna
remember
say,
initially we
the
started
county-
off with 43 units, and now we've reduced it down to 21 because of the amount of money that the county is
County is-
willing to grant.
None of these would have underground oil tanks or anything. I mean, these are all propane or whatever heated.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no,
It wouldn't be underground. It would be
there's no home
kerosene
heating,
or-
they're not old school furnaces on these things, yeah.
Okay.
They'd be
They're
appropriate.
probably maybe electric baseboard heating.
Okay,
So that's the one point,
Not-
so
not
I'll
cheap.
prepare the secret
Nothing
documents
is
for
these
the
days.
next meeting. So public comments, I just want to go through them. June 22nd was the hearing, concerns regarding increased traffic, safety, and compensation using the crossing, recommended traffic study, lack of fire hydrants, questions regarding setbacks and buffers, questions regarding emergency access, opposition to new entrants, opposed to the project, concerns of new location of IA system, I'm spelling things wrong, and overclearing of ecological sensitive areas. The following comments were received in the provided 10-day written comment period. Let me just double check that, it may have been 30. Concerns with emergency access not needed, concerns with traffic and increased volume for construction vehicles and residences, questions regarding railroad crossings, questions on notification, traffic on Old Country Road, existing railroad crossing at Gleason in repair, existing exit from Gleason is dangerous, existing bus stop on Gleason is busy, should have a 100-foot buffer. Provide a 50-foot buffer in plantings.
so this is when we were discussing the access, and then we
We need to
came
discuss
to
the
the
access.
conclusion and the decision that we would just keep the access straight down.
Yeah, there was no comments back from the
Mhm.
MTA, you'll note that. We sent a referral at both stages.
Who's
And
responsible for the railroad crossing? The
MTA.
MTA.
And they've been silent,
They've been
so.
silent, so.
So, there is a crossing here
Yeah.
in the functions. There's a crossing on the other one, it's newer. Thought that might be better, but nobody likes that idea. There will be an emergency access, so that's my suggestion. I think it's coming from the fire marshal also,
Right, with a gate.
with a gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense here, but we just maybe make a clarification. This would be the extension across from Maple. This is town land here, town land across the street, and it would just be just the clearing.
Well, we should talk about that because there was at the public hearing, the applicant indicated they would prefer not to establish access from Malloy Drive West, and this position that was really what was working up the public.
Yeah.
They didn't
was
want
the
it,
act-
and
they
so
didn't.
we said, we'll keep the main
They didn't want
But I
it.
think
access.
that was,
But Claire's talking about
I mean-
an emergency
Yeah,
exit,
as long as everybody, the public understands that, because,
that it's an emergency,
yeah,
gated.
yeah, gated for a
so
a brush
people
truck or something like
crash-
that, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people cannot,
Yeah, which they should be
Block
happy
to the
about, you
public.
know, what.
I would think so,
Yes.
but I think the specter of that morphing into something else was something that
Yes.
concerned.
Yes.
After the hearing, people came up to me and said, thank you for supporting our
Yeah.
position upon new
Yeah.
access.
Yeah.
What happens when all of a sudden that gets turned into, you know?
a drive-through.
A drive, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and that would be something, I'd be very interested in how that would be implemented. I don't know if the town has done that in other places, but.
Well, you
We
have,
did-
you
we
have
did
a
it
you have a
once.
crash gate at the end of the
Subdivision,
emergency
We had a
access.
crash gate
Crash gate, yeah.
installed.
Yeah, they do that at the
crash
end
gate.
of you know, Fordune. You can't go in the west easterly access, but there's a gate there, a crash gate.
Because there was questions about, do you consider, I mean, who has the key? If there's a gate, who has the key?
Oh, they would have
I don't
How
have a key.
improved is it?
There's not
I
a
mean,
key, Tom.
These are,
No.
They literally
It's
drive a
called-
brush truck through
It's
it,
called
yeah.
crash.
Yeah.
okay, as long as this has been
Open.
done before, I mean,
Yes.
I've heard conversations
Rent any Fast
previously.
and Furious movie and look at those cars going.
Okay.
At the,
Diesel.
in a more suburban setting, at the end of the Fordune subdivision, if you go to the easterly entrance there, it's gated off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's not gonna stop the fire department.
We did a subdivision plan, one portion of it, we
I'll
had
have
a
to go
great,
take
we
a
had
look
a
at
that
crash
sometime,
gate.
'cause-
I can't remember which it was a big
Well, we did a
subdivision.
condo in Hampton Bays.
Yep.
There's a crash gate on the north side
This
of
is the one
that.
right down by the train tracks. Yeah.
Mhm. And there is,
So that
yes.
portion of it,
Yeah,
Drive
one
right
in-
through it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe it was beyond.
and the people with lots towards the easterly end are always trying to get the homeowners association to open that up, and like, no.
No.
And it's gravel or something, or?
Oh, it's paved, that particular one, but this
Yeah.
one, would you probably just, to the extent that it has to be cleared out or something, if there's any large trees
It's
there or
not,
something like that?
it's not
Here.
considered a town road or anything like that. That's, that was
It's
an
a
issue I
road.
ran into at some point.
Malloy is.
Malloy is a town, those are dedicated, aren't they?
No, but
Just
the
never-
connection is what he's talking about from, we're proposing the access for the fire department. It's not gonna be.
It's right on top
Not
of the
gonna be
town.
considered a town road in
property.
any
You
way.
really, you do need some stabilization, whether that be gravel or grading, because if it's supposed to serve as some sort of emergency access. to the
I mean,
trucks.
we'll do
And
it,
you
I just
don't-
might,
and you don't wanna
as
take
long as
away the
everybody's
buffer
clear with the public,
for-
so I don't
for
wanna.
that
Yeah,
house
but there'll be the
that's
gate there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could probably be located on the southern part of that
Southern
50-foot
portion of that,
right
yeah.
away. I think it only needs to be 14 feet wide,
I
but it
would
has
say
to be.
Minimal width, the
Okay.
fire truck to go through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And not necessarily paved, just gravel or.
Just gravel.
hot, you know, something hard.
Do you put a gate at either end, so there's no question? Or just at the easterly end?
That's a good question.
I put it at both ends.
Maybe both, you know,
So
so,
send a
you know,
message.
kind of also.
I don't want people being upset about it.
Discourage
that's
people
all.
from
Right.
finding a way
From
through
using
as
it.
best they can, right?
'Cause
Okay, so the fire
guys in
dis-
pickup trucks
fire
can
district
create
speaks
a
to
road.
this quite clearly.
I mean, I don't have any problem with that, then there's, kids aren't using it for.
Well, that's what.
Yeah.
Dirt bikes and-
Yeah.
So Claire, you were just about to say that the fire district is making a recommendation.
Yeah, so it's number
specifically to
2 on the
this.
bottom of page 4. Well, 2 and 3. Okay, hold on. Aspen Way, what am I not seeing with Aspen Way?
Is Aspen Way the one further
What's
up?
the-
Oh, is Aspen Way,
Are you talking about the, let's talk about it. Tom, what was your concern? Because there was,
Well,
What's
there's,
the road, what's the road higher up?
if you look at the first sheet
Cul-de-sac.
in our attention.
this is
Dead end.
Malloy.
No, there's a, not that, there's another one
Aspen.
that dead ends to the right. Is that a, right there?
This is Malloy, west.
That's Malloy. Our plan
Corbett.
shows an emergency access to
Leeson,
Malloy.
Malloy.
right here.
But it-
Yes.
Right, but now we're talking about
Way down.
Is
the
there a
one
name?
where
further
the town
south that
crosses.
goes
So
into
he-
the old section.
So fire district on number 3 wants this, which is good.
Right,
That's
we have
what you
that.
have.
Yep.
the Quag wants, the fire
2
department wants that.
2 is something about Aspen Way. Why am I not seeing what's Aspen Way?
Yes,
At the
it's
back
that middle
corner of
street where
Aspen
it's not
Way.
labeled, between Willow and Spruce.
Oh, here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, it's your new road.
Yeah,
It's your new road?
hold on.
I think so.
I believe,
No, Maple?
wait.
Oh, I see. They're looking for a way to get a fire truck up if there's brush fires.
If
Yeah, so on your property, which
On
is
the
no
other side
problem,
of that.
which
Okay.
is not a problem, is it?
Yeah, it does Aspen Way, yeah, that's what.
No,
No, I
you
think
can go right
the,
on there.
Speak up,
I
Tom.
think some of the confusion was, well, we started this project in 2017, so there's been several
6 years.
variations of the plan. The original plan showed 43 units in the new section.
Oh, I
it's
think they've
different.
got the old plan.
They look at
But
the
they
old
want
plan.
an access to the back, and
They
that's not
want
a
access
problem
to
for
the
you.
back, right.
Right,
And I
guys?
think
That's no
Aspen
problem.
Yeah, just a
appears
brush
on
fire.
And
that
that's
That's
your
good.
road access.
Okay, so,
Right.
and they're supporting the one you got, which is the Malloy.
Malloy.
And that should answer that
Thank you.
question. It should just be
So we don't have any
Malloy.
problem
Okay.
access to our property?
Of course not.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
think the fire department said if you're gonna fence the whole community,
Oh,
we
the
need a
crash
gate to
picture.
access the
To the north.
north.
Wait, are you fencing the whole community, or no?
No, I don't think, I don't think.
Okay,
we
so
are
then
proposing
it's
that.
not necessary.
No,
Okay.
But if we were to, we would provide
right,
the crash gate.
right.
Okay, we can leave that as a general condition.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, that's good, that's a good point. Where was I?
Page
I think I got to the fire marshal.
Page 4,
conditions.
number 3, then 5.
Let's do let's do fire
Ten.
marshal.
Town engineer, fire
So,
marshal, you did that, right?
the fire marshal, they just want accessibility, these all be conditions.
Yep.
Town engineer, this has been addressed. I think they were fine, right? Did
With
they
the changes,
sign off?
yeah.
I
Co-
think,
Conditional approval.
I can't remember.
Yes, they were.
Okay, I'd like to have that line at the end, but I didn't see it, so I'll find it.
Central Pine Barrens, are you up to page 5?
Health Department received an application, it was finalized. And then anything else? Oh, the 9 hydrants, obviously, on the
Mm-hmm.
property, they have to be indicated. Do you have this map? Do I
No.
need to give it to you?
We don't have the map.
Okay. So I will get you the map. And we addressed 2 and 3. Central Pine Barrens, they had a lot of comments. They were looking at the wrong plan. They were looking at the original 43 feet,
Right.
43. So when you review this, the planning board, have to enforce the Pine Barrens regulations. The applicant is clearing a total of 17.1%, which is way below your standard for aquifer protection overlay district and the Central Pine Barrens. So we'll make a finding to that statement. And they are not touching the compatible growth area. So I'm gonna go through these. I'm gonna make sure all the concerns are addressed. If you see anything you want me to address, specifically, but I'll make
Okay.
sure it is, when we do the the secret comments.
I just want to make a note that we have a lot of the agenda still to go, and
Okay.
it's 20 to 5.
Oh,
This is,
fine.
everything else I have is
Yeah.
shorter.
Okay, but Jeff has stuff, and we,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So
no
just,
problem.
just an alert.
Yeah, so this is, we touched on a lot of the important things. John, do you want to
Yeah,
touch on
no,
anything else?
most of it is concerned with the Pine Barrens Commission stuff. I think they just made some errors, and I put that in a letter. And we meet the clearing restrictions, so I don't, because we're all
Maybe they were
incompatible
looking
growth.
at
The
it.
only thing that concerned me was, they wanted open space conservation, easement, and they want to know who the open space is being dedicated to. I think someone was confused, thinking this was a subdivision.
Yeah.
So that's all. So I didn't want anyone to be led astray by that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. So
we
you
meet
wrote a
the
letter,
standards.
right?
Yeah, but I put that all in the letter.
Okay.
And they wanted a yield map, but again, it's not,
It's not
maybe
a
just send them the
subdivision.
ZBA application, the
What do we
approval.
call it?
Site plan.
It's a site plan.
It's a site plan.
Yeah.
The units have been established. They
Yeah,
went to the zoning board of appeals about the
You guys got a lot to
issue
do,
of,
so I'll put it all in the letter.
the expansion of the units, and that was addressed. And
Right.
so that, I summarized that. I gave you originally the ZBA decision, but I'll give it to you again. So, we touch upon what happens to that area, and I think it's
You do that
appropriate
in
to,
secret?
yeah, the grass area. So I don't have anything more specific. I'll go through this again.
I guess
to
the only other,
lighting
I'm sorry.
forms.
Right.
What have you got, John?
Just a quick thing, the ARB said they didn't review the architecture, and it's sort of hard, there were some comments about, it's a bit by bit, piece by piece
Are they
thing, they
standard
just bring the units in.
manufactured homes?
Yeah,
Are
Yeah,
they
we
Yeah,
submitted
yeah.
these elevations to the
Yeah.
application, and it's gonna vary in color, obviously, but this is the model
That's the model.
that's going to be presented, and the homeowner gets to choose the color and of
So did the ARB see those?
we put the application in, and John was going to go, and then they took it off the calendar. They said they don't review.
They don't review them, mobile homes, that's what they said.
Yeah, and that was a mistake for us to send it.
And the only
to us.
pet
Okay.
peeve I have on this,
What?
and maybe if they
That's
wanna
nice.
do it,
I like
but I don't wanna
it.
require it,
It's not bad.
It looks
I
It doesn't
can't
look like a
stand
mobile home.
looking at non-functional shutters. Like if the shutter's like that, but the
Too
window's
big.
like that, but that's,
Yeah.
that's a real
That's
pet
a
peeve of mine.
personal
Dress it
preference.
up.
I
Little
hate,
bit.
I hate applique shutters, if the thing actually could cover the whole window,
Right.
then it makes sense. But
Claire,
Those are
I
nice.
kind of folded in, but with the Pine Barrens comments, it kind of addresses what I was talking about, which
Okay.
is under other comments, explain the plan for the parcel outside of Central Pine Barrens boundary.
That's outside of their
Will it
jurisdiction.
be restored or revegetated? Will it
Yeah.
be sold, protected, or developed? Will it be stripped of development rights, or will it still have development rights?
The development rights on this property has been established.
Yeah.
It's 102
Okay.
units with a house.
I'm not gonna
So,
respond to a Pine
okay.
Barrens
That's
request for a piece
it.
of property
They're
that's
not gonna
outside
get
of their
another
jurisdiction.
unit on this
It's not gonna do it.
property. So, but that's something we can clearly make a finding for.
Yeah.
Right, I'm
developers.
just saying to document
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
important.
I mean,
We
if
do
you wanna
have
talk
additional-
about these things have to be, you've gotta be replanted, and the detritus, as you say, has to be removed and everything, that's
Yeah.
fine. But Pine Barren asking me about something going on a piece of property outside of their jurisdiction, I'm just not gonna respond to that.
You mean on the compatible part?
No,
The
no,
core.
no, the
The south.
property to the
The
south
southern
is
portion.
totally out of their
But it's
jurisdiction.
not, it's not in.
Yeah.
It's not in.
Yeah, it's not in it.
Right, right.
But I think from a planning
from our perspective.
point of
though,
view.
it
Yeah, no, I
flags
understand
something
that.
for
We'll
us
make
to
Yeah,
consider.
I got that. I understand that, yeah.
Thanks.
All right, so what are we doing?
We're not doing anything.
This is a discussion. That's great, thank you very much.
I got a lot of
Discussion.
information for you. I'm gonna
Yes.
update the staff report, get it to you early next week. We got 3 weeks before between meetings,
Right,
which is great.
good.
But I'm also gonna get you the secret documents early too.
Good.
So
So we can review
anything, comments, send them my way. I wanna get this documents
Okay.
together
I
for the
looked at
14th.
I'm sorry, I looked at a proposed, and I apologize when I interrupt you, it's my mind, I'm fearful of forgetting something, which is my excuse, I'm sorry. I did look at a proposed long-form EAF though, are we staying with that?
Oh, yeah, did I give it to you?
Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
yeah.
I did?
Yes.
I can't
You filled it out
Next
already.
David was, I think,
I mean, I was
I
happy with
think I
it.
gave it to you with the last iteration,
Oh.
but
Give
that
it
was
to
like
us-
3
give it to
meetings
us
ago.
again.
Yeah,
Give it to
I
us
mean,
again.
So
I was
I
happy
forgot
with
that.
it. I didn't have any comments to
You
it.
remembered.
I forgot
You
it.
remembered.
So, but that's the one we're gonna build off of, so.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you.
Thanks very much.
I'm swapping
You want to do the bridge staff has
Yeah,
in
this
Claire.
is
I think
easy.
these came from Claire.
This is a reapproval
thanks.
of your decision from March.
She does on the desk.
Yes, John, here's
The
the
applicant failed.
Thanks, Lori.
Could you have the handy, that all come this back?
Somebody needs gravel?
George, you hand the ball, please.
Is that for Republicans?
We need it on a little conveyor
Do you
belt.
want something? What would you like?
Yeah, please.
Peanuts?
Peanuts.
A bar?
You need peanuts?
Peanuts, give them peanuts. It's
Cashew.
No.
Peanuts.
That's how, peanuts are on dinner.
All right, Claire.
So this is an easy one. This is a reapproval from your decision back in March. They failed to give me the plans in time, so it expired. They're reapproving it, same conditions. So just reapproval. This is for that gatehouse and the modification to the access road up to the Gulf of the Bridge property. And the town engineer has indicated approval.
Okay,
Okay?
The bridge.
so this is a reapproval.
Motion.
Motion by Dennis, second by Kate, all in favor. Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Oh, wow, this is like a
This is a
revolving door here.
Robin.
What did we just,
And then
We
my-
just approved number 13, the
Thank you.
bridge, Easterly,
no, I was too busy looking.
Noack Road and West Stony Hill Road, okay?
So my next one is Delandra. We talked about this at the last meeting, and we went through the part 2.
Right.
So my recommendation with this one is to adopt a negative declaration and deem the application complete. This is, let me pull up the property.
Pull it up, Claire, 'cause
Yeah.
this is
the
two
one on Riverhead.
Delandros, you know?
Riverhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. It's
Commercial.
Beyond River.
It's a industrial
The
building.
industrial
Yeah, the
building,
industrial.
yeah.
This is
Yep.
one
Yeah.
of 3 lots in a row.
Yep,
And they're all subject to clearing restrictions. Actually, they had a covenant on them, and that's part of this request, but I'll do it at the time of the decision, is to modify the clearing to allow the 50% to be consistent with the aquifer
okay.
protection
Do we do a
list.
map note on this, because it's by that
We can,
plume?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely do
Include
that. This would be to issue a negative declaration and to deem the application complete. I do have documents for you if you want to take a peek at
Do we
them.
have a do we gonna set a public hearing?
Yeah, I was gonna do September 28th. This would be only the second one on there, and then that would be completed.
Do you want two resolutions? Should
September
we roll-
28th.
One,
Roll them into one?
if you're comfortable with that.
I'll move it.
So we're deeming it complete, setting a public hearing for September
September
28th.
And issuing a negative declaration.
Negative declaration.
Most important.
All
most
one
important.
resolution.
Yes.
I see why you asked if it was 2.
You
I
can
think
do
we should
2.
do 2.
Okay, let's
Let's
do
do
the
the-
neg deck first then.
Okay,
We went over the part 2 last time, so you were comfortable with it, and so we can,
okay, just
that
add
first.
that map note. So
I'll move the neg deck.
move the neg deck on
Second.
Delander Jeffrey by Dennis, second by Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
6 in favor, we have that, and then the second motion is to deem it complete and set a public hearing for September 28th. Motion by Gloria, second by Kate, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor.
okay, and I've got a couple extensions here. Puccio, until, it's October.
Item 16.
Item number 16, Puccio, 134 East Montauk Highway.
Why am I doing crazy? So which time? That is the next one.
October 12th is what I have written down.
Okay, October 12th.
So to
Yes.
October 12th?
Yes.
Okay, motion for the extension to Puccio Laundry to October 12th. Motion by Kate.
Second.
Second by Gloria. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Blessing Fields, extension to September 14th.
Motion.
Extension to September 14th. Motion by Dennis, second by Kate. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? 6 in favor.
And then I have Watermill Square Associates, you approved this back in April, and they need additional 90 days for submission of plans. Till November 25th.
So we're extending this to
November 25th.
November 25th.
Isn't that 90 days from now? Sounds sad.
I don't have a calendar.
Today's the 24th.
Oh, then the 24th.
So November 24th. That's Thanksgiving, no?
Oh, I don't know, probably.
Kristen, can you
It's the
look
day
at the
after my
calendar?
birthday.
The 23rd, so I don't think we have a planning board meeting.
That's okay, it's just an extension, the date we extend before they,
Yeah.
they'll have their plans before that, I think.
Okay, motion to extend Watermill Square Associates to November 24th. Motion by Kate, second by George, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor.
And then I have 3 plans to be signed. Number 21, 3-5 Montauk. Number 22, American Legion. And then I'm gonna have a walk-on for that bridge, the one we just approved.
And are they all here?
They're all here, and they're all.
So we're acknowledging signatures for 3-5 Montauk, item 21, American Legion, item 22, and 23, what did you say?
It's a walk-on.
It's a walk-on for Golford Bridge.
Okay, so those 3. Okay. Jeffrey,
And that's Zarabi Family Trust, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay. Acknowledge signature for Zarabi Family
oh,
Trust.
Zarabi Family Trust,
Yeah.
also.
All right, so we can move to number 6. Atlantic
Item
Golf
number
Club.
6, Atlantic Golf Club Turf Barn, site plan permit, 1040 Scuttle Hole Road. No, nothing?
Thanks.
So just to recap the board, this is a site plan application to construct a 1,254 square foot addition, reconstruction of an existing 3,633.25 square foot storage building, dormer addition, proposed employee bathroom, installation of an IA system, replacement of an aging slab, and replacement of an existing 792 square foot gravel driveway with 5,150 square feet of permeable stone pavers. So we did had a discussion at the last planning board work session. That discussion resulted in 2 concerns and comments. Primarily, if you refer to page 4 in the report, the concern regarding the existing barn and whether or not it required landmarks review. We did reach out to the chair. He did confirm that it does not require their review, so that eliminates that concern. And then we had the conversation regarding the protection of Short's Barn or Short Pond, and whether or not we're going to impose a non-disturbance fertilization buffer adjacent to the proposed project area, and whether or not that would be a 75-foot buffer, or are we going to impose or put language in that would encompass the entire pond with a 75-foot or 100-foot buffer around it. So I made some changes to the report, which you can refer to page 6. I've highlighted it. Hopefully it's still visible or readable, which includes the conversation regarding that implementation of a 75-foot non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer shall be required in the form of a covenant specific to Shorts Pond adjacent to the project area, as I've stated. The applicant, there was a back and forth with the applicant on whether or not we were going to include the entire Shorts Pond or maybe have some legal verbiage that would then push involving the entire buffer around the entirety of Shorts Pond on future development applications. So that's still up for the board. To some degree, I left it in here, and I noted that on page 7, numbers 4 and 5. We talked about possibly making a condition of approval on future development, so I included that. But I'm gonna leave it up to the board. We kind of dance around the number as far as whether it be 500 or 200 feet, whether that area in proximity to Shorts Pond would require and or trigger the implementation of 75-foot and or 100-foot wetlands fertilization buffer. So I'm not sure where the board sits now and whether or not you'd like to be more specific to the area adjacent to the pond, or if we wanted to go ahead and put the additional verbiage for future development.
Well, maybe this can be noticed that in future development, the buffer would be expanded to 100 feet and would encompass whatever we determine here. Wayne, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, and this is a follow-up to the discussion we had at the last
Right.
meeting, and I
Which I
understand,
wasn't-
Jackie, you weren't there, but, and we did talk to Jeff about this, and Tony has some diagrams, and so the one alternative and the nexus here, first of all, is only the barn, and so the suggestion from Conservation was a buffer, and he has a diagram which would show you that area that we would do that. But my conversation with the board last meeting started with the premise that the purpose of a covenant is to put the future landowner on notice that there is a restriction on this property. In our lifetime, you will not see another landowner for this property. And so the purpose of the covenant is probably not worthy of discussion. Nonetheless, and some people say, well, it's there for enforcement. Well, if the town is not going to enforce the covenant, which requires the town board action to go to Supreme Court to enforce the covenant. So what would likely happen is, and this is a wetland area, Chapter 325 regulates wetlands, and if there's an activity, it would be a town code violation would be cited, and that's how it gets enforced. So the covenant doesn't do that. Nonetheless, as you know, with the employee housing application and this board's recommendations, we had offered a 100-foot buffer to surround the entire pond, actually submitted an executed copy for review by the town attorney's office, who reviewed and did accept that, but as you know, that project didn't go forward, that didn't get recorded. However, I can tell you that we have an application we're submitting next week for that application, and we're still offering that 100-foot buffer on that application. Everything you reviewed and approved on that application is going to be on that application. So we say that, and so here we're concerned two things. One, just putting a covenant now for a portion of the property is really unduly encumbering the title and so on and so forth. The second thing is that number 6, as Jeff was proposing, as a condition of approval. Usually a condition of approval is something that we have to do. And this is really not a condition of approval, it's a notice, as the chairman said.
You're referring to the decision. Let me pass this up.
Well, no, this is on your staff report as number 7, on page 7, number 6. It said as a condition of approval for all future development, and that's where the 500 or the 200 feet, and I don't know where 500 feet comes from, because wetland jurisdiction is only 200 feet. But nonetheless, what I'm suggesting is, as the chairwoman indicated, is that this is a notice situation. Wherever you put it, it should be couched in language as a notice, and it's more to put this board on notice of a future application. That's what you desire. We're on notice as well, as opposed to a condition. It's not something I want someone to say, hey, we didn't fulfill the condition to get our CO. So that's our 2 cents on that.
So council wasn't available at our last discussion, which is why we weren't able to kind of boil down the crux of that, the legal terminology for that. So I don't know if that's something we can include within our decision for future development, or if it's something that the board is inclined to impose regardless.
Did you talk to Christine?
Yeah,
at all?
has she weighed in on this?
Yeah, but we haven't hashed it out, honestly.
Oh, okay, and she's had to leave.
Right.
She's not well. What's our action on? It's an action deadline.
Yes.
Yep, it is an action
We
deadline.
extended it to today.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't see an issue with notice, that if we can tie it in to, I mean, we can't name or state a future application, because that's not yet before us. But you are filing it next week. And
Yeah, I think if you want to put the language there and rather say as a condition of approval, just say that the applicant is on notice that in all future applications, this board will consider the imposition of a buffer.
About 100-foot buffer.
100-foot buffer.
Yeah, right. I think we discussed it with Claire, and Claire said we have done that before in terms of noticing, so.
Well, you have to submit a standard note, acknowledgement of site plan conditions.
Exactly.
Just add it to that.
Well, it would be in your resolution, so we're acknowledging the resolution and so.
So what language, so did you get that language?
Not specifically that, no.
So Wayne, can I say
Repeat
it?
it?
Say
Sure,
it
go
again, please.
The applicant is on notice that the planning board will consider the imposition of a 100-foot wetlands, non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer zone around the entirety of Shorts Pond.
Yep.
Upon application of any future development within 200 feet of the pond.
So is it, do we want to say will consider imposition of, or will impose?
Will consider, yeah.
It's not before us, so we have to consider it.
Right.
And there's Claire, which is really kind of what Claire had said. We're talking about notice, Claire, of the 100-foot, you know, without specifically referring to an application.
Well, definitely there was a history here.
Wayne, just read back what Wayne said.
I don't have it at all.
Do you remember what she said? It's 5 o'clock.
The applicant is on notice that the planning board will consider the imposition of a 100-foot wetlands, non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer zone around the entirety of Shorts Pond upon development within any future development within 200 feet of the pond.
Just want to note, it was a conservation easement. So that's, it was a little bit more.
Yeah, slash conservation.
You can do both, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what Claire had recommended as well. So we've got that.
And
Is
does that-
everybody comfortable with that?
I'm just,
Getting
where
what
does
we
that go
want.
in on our resolution? Under
3?
Special.
And I guess my question at the last meeting was, if we have an application before us, couldn't we impose that now with this application?
We don't have it before us. They haven't submitted it.
No, she wanted to go around the entire pond with this
For this
application.
application.
Oh, with this?
We
Yeah.
submitted that,
And they
the
said that they
nexus
would
is
just
not
do it for
there
the
as
next
much as the other applicant.
It's already, yeah, yeah.
So that would
Okay.
go under special conditions of permit point number 3,
I actually have an empty spot on 4.
or 4.
Where are you putting it?
Oh, I see.
Suggest as the buffer area.
Where are you putting it?
Number 4 is special conditions of permit.
Okay, so new language.
Yep.
I'll just
And-
notice.
And you'll have to
Can
modify
you- can
page
you-
2, number
Yes.
4.
Yep.
2, and can you send us a revised,
Absolutely.
okay.
Those couple you have highlighted, you have to just modify those.
Perfect.
And as for the conservation, we talked about that one door is just for pedestrian access, and then the double doors are, which face the other direction, are,
All right. Tony Panza, architect for Atlantic Golf Club. There's a total of 3 overhead doors. 2 of them face towards the road. One does face towards the north, towards Schwartz Pond. Because of the depth of the building, we have that one in the back. So there is a man door over there, but we have to have that for egress. And then there is another overhead door there. But the two are...
It's a people door.
There's a person door. Sorry, there's a person door.
I don't have one to my garage, and I keep calling it a people door, and I'm sorry I don't have it.
okay, so the doors that are used are facing away from Schwartz Pond, which was the conservation concern.
Right. And it's the ones that you see from Scuttle Hole Road.
Right.
It's the same doors that are there. There's no change in those.
There was a concern regarding existing structures and/or paths, which was commented on the Conservation Board comments, and whether we should include that verbiage, whether or not the applicant wants us to include that verbiage regarding existing, again, disturbance on the property where we are imposing the buffer area. So you have this to the northeast, you have the existing, what they call it, Earth Drive.
So, yeah, this also goes along with the discussions that we were having for the other, when we were talking about the 100-foot buffer, that when the planning board approved of the golf course project, 1989 to 1991, this barn was within the 100, there's another potato barn, and the use and the access in and out was granted at that time, and we just want to continue the use of that. So when, in the writing of the buffer or of the future 100-foot, we still need to get into the building, we still need to be able to get to the earthen path. So although those were within what we're calling the 75-foot buffer, that use has to continue because that's what allows us to get up to the other side of the site.
And just for your edification, when we did the 100-foot buffer and the easement, there were exceptions to those existing conditions written into that easement so that could be maintained and continue to be utilized. And part of the discussion was they wanted us to move that and move it towards the golf course, which is not going to happen. And that's needed in that configuration to have proper access to the barn. So I think the point is we're going to leave that. Now, on the other hand, I believe in some portion of that gravel drive that extends along there, there's a current split rail fence. So that sort of prohibits activity from going off of that in a way. So that's already there. And so any future restriction, we're going to continue to, we're not touching those things, and they'll continue, and we'll continue to indicate that there are exceptions to the requirements.
That's be written into the language.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, buffers
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
include.
So it's a protection further protection to Schwartz Pond.
You
to
just
have
can't
that fence.
augment and expand what's.
No, yeah, that's the point. You wouldn't expand that gravel road or
Right.
anything like that. And like I said, the fence keeps them physically, as you know, people driving, they tend to keep expanding. So this actually prevents that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that fence is on the pond side.
Okay.
This is a minor change, but I think it also is important. So
Sure.
proposed, in the first section, requested application action, 5,150 square foot of permeable stone pavers and proposed asphalt driveway could add and drainage. Because they're adding drainage in there, to prevent the asphalt driveway from running over the permeable pavers, which is a really important part of the project. for preventing that stormwater going into the pond. Great.
Perfect. I'll include that. All right. We can move to approve this as amended.
Okay, and you'll send us an
Amended
amended.
version. Absolutely.
Motion by Dennis, second by Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor,
Thank you.
1 absent.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn by Dennis, second by George.
One more.
One more.
Sorry, I gotta bother you for one more turn.
Which one?
Another turf barn. Come on. Poor guy who's been sitting here.
The
all
National
morning.
Turf Farm.
This was a little bit more straightforward.
The whole is,
So,
There's second pages to these things.
Oh.
Sorry.
it's number 9 in our agenda.
Florian, do you want this? This is an, what do you want to sign? Yeah, it's action deadline. Okay, Jeff, you're on.
Okay. Pull up the site plan for you. Here we go. Okay, so this is a site plan application to construct a 5,100 square foot single-story wood frame barn with 9 storage bays located on a 183 acre private country golf club in R120 zoning district. The project site is located at 129 Sabonic Inlet Road. Overlay district associated with this project area is the New York State Archaeological Sensitive Area and Aquifer Protection Overlay District. We'll review the actual staff report, and then I have a decision prepared as well. This one is also on an action deadline. SECRA, we classify this as an unlisted action. My resolution dated June 22nd and issued a neg deck. For the proposed action, waiver of the public hearing was granted by resolution dated June 22nd, 2023 with a 30-day written comment period. No comments were received. We received comments back from Department of Fire Prevention. If you'd like, I can read through the comments. The one comment, the Conservation Board did submit comments. They did, however, explain that this is outside of their jurisdiction. So most of the comments are mostly related to the project, not necessarily implications to any wetlands. Town engineer provided approval of the project with no further comments. The reason why this project is, for the most part, pretty straightforward. We're not proposing any sanitary systems, no major site work outside of the construction of the structure itself. It is being built into an existing hill, but the deviation when it comes to the slope is about 2 feet. So no impact, nor did the town engineer have any concerns regarding it being built into the hill. Let's see here.
Also, as far as the archaeological,
Yes.
that was done when the original building went up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that
you need to
exists.
include that.
Yeah, that existing maintenance building, the archaeological was done when that entire site was being completed or constructed.
Do you have that in the
and
report?
encompassed, yes.
Yeah.
If you go to, address it in one of our standards here. It's one of the site plan standards.
in.
Okay, I'll add that.
Second and third page, so you have to sign this.
I'll add the archaeological report, phase 1A and B, I believe, right?
Yes.
That was completed. And that did encompass the proposed project area as well.
Right.
No comment from Southampton Fire District. No comment from Southampton, Tuckahoe, and Shinnecock CAC. The site plan standards, traffic access, the site's currently developed with an existing maintenance building and driveway that provides access to and from Sebonack Inlet Road. No further access is proposed or required. Same as interior circulation and parking. They're not proposing any additional landscaping or screening, as the structure itself is, for the most part, not visible for public view. Letter D, existing development master plan. The planning board does find the project complies with 1999 comprehensive plan. A or B has indicated their approval of the facades.
Excuse me, Dick,
Yes.
when you say staff response, address conservation board comments, would be
Correct.
helpful in this report to be filed if you just listed them.
Yes, I do have the comments here.
Okay.
They start on page 2. Just so we're clear though, the Conservation Board did clarify this was outside their jurisdiction, concerning it's 200 feet outside the wetlands jurisdiction. But they had other comments just regarding the history of the area and the structure itself, which essentially have been satisfied by the review by town engineer and also reviewed by Department of Fire.
They have a clearing question. The applicant respond to that?
The clearing question of, you're looking at what number?
Number 4. The site documents indicate that the applicant is looking to build upon.
Sorry.
Proposed limit of clearing, however,
Wasn't you?
the board questions the feasibility of such clearing when there are several large trees with a diameter greater than 12 inches that would be impacted. So Tony,
Yes.
do you want to address that?
Yes, I think the site plan that
Conservation?
Conservation was looking at was an older site plan. The current site plan, the one that the plan board has, is up there. There was 2 things that the Conservation had noted, that the disturbance was too tight to the foundation. One of the items that the town engineer picked up on, so the site, the disturbance line has been moved back. It's about 9 feet back from the edge of the building. At that point, the grade is about 5 feet high, so everyone was okay with that. So that's the updated, disturbance area. It's still a very minimal
So where are
disturbance
the
area.
trees that they're talking about?
There was some that were always going to be affected, but we've listed all the trees there. They're all pointed out with their caliper. And
maybe you
this
could
is,
zoom
in
in,
this
Jeff.
location here, what it is that that's the golf course side of the building, right? Where those are right there, those wouldn't remain because of the grading, but the density of the wooded area is extremely important to the club from the golf course side. So for any of the trees that were removed there would be densification inside of the existing wooded area. There was a comment on there that had to do with vehicles also currently parked in that area. The whole reason for building the building is to put the vehicles inside. We're not looking to create more parking anywhere, it's to get those vehicles inside the building. So I think the items have been, and the contours are on there, and that's what was being asked for in the conservation notes.
Okay.
So the 1.1 foot diameter tree.
And the 0.9?
The 0.9 and the 1.1 up above are
Yeah,
the
and
ones that would be removed.
Yes.
On another project, we saw they were actually like spading out trees and moving them. It's a consideration, because obviously if they want to revegetate,
Yeah.
material's already there. It's a
And a
cost-saving
national,
measure for sure.
they own their own spade. If it's a
Right.
tree of any character, especially if it's a cedar, they generally do that. It's a pretty good chance that that's a sumac or something or other.
Sure, yeah.
If it is anything worth saving,
You'll save it.
it's
save it,
saved.
yeah.
Yeah, especially because there's some
Great.
neighbors that seem to be
So-
trimming trees on their side.
So the site plan is pretty consistent with existing site conditions. So
Yeah.
those few trees, you can see that some of this area has already been disturbed and used for the parking and/or looks like some moss or
So it's
lawn.
going in where the trucks are parked right
Correct.
now? is that-
Yes.
Okay, and how far is that from the water? I mean, it
From-
talked about like being cognizant of the seagrass meadows and
Or
things
is
like
it
that.
over on the other side?
It's always on the other
Completely
side.
other side of
You
the
address
site.
that with the engineering plan in terms of
Everything else,
during
Yeah.
construction, like drainage management and having silt
Pretty
go and
Yeah.
ruin the eelgrass
Same
meadow.
about a building.
Yeah, it's
in
not,
between.
it's, the only flow there is to the asphalt area that you see.
Okay.
Nothing runs out from there.
Okay. So I did prepare a decision, and I'll include,
You finished all the
yeah,
special,
special standards, lighting. Lighting is proposed at all storage building access points. Right now, I believe they're dark sky wall sconces. I believe they meet our dark sky requirement. ARB has indicated their approval. Drainage, obviously there's essentially no drainage. All right, let me pull up the site plan for you again. Outside of this drainage system here to the south and also I believe a little bit to the north as well, there's no additional drainage being proposed for the site, which I believe is also adequate to support the proposed project, obviously approved by a town engineer as well. Public water is used on site. Public address, no public address or sound system is being proposed. Physically challenged access, existing handicap parking spaces adequately already serve the project site. The structure itself is not a structure that's being frequented by the public. But if the planning board sees fit to add additional access, it's fine by me. But
well,
I don't
there's a
think it's
handicap
necessary.
parking space. I'm concerned about the next one, the energy
Sure.
conservation.
So energy conservation, yes. So there is no solar, which I put a question mark for solar.
Yeah.
There are no elements of energy conservation being proposed for the site.
Charging stations.
But the planning board, we can propose exactly that. The charging stations, I think, would be a good idea.
In reference to charging stations, the vehicles that are inside of it may or may not be electric, but it's the vehicles that are parked outside that are going inside. If there were to be a charging station, it would be located in the employee parking area. But there's also the employee staff housing where a lot of the employee are coming from. So I agree that charging stations are important, but since this is a staff area, it's not frequented by, other than electric vehicles that are used for equipment use, the golf carts.
Where are they charged?
Well, golf carts are charged in the golf cart storage building, which is located over by the pro shop on the other side. So they're not actually stored in there. And in terms of solar, this building, if you look at how the proximity, or if you go back to the aerial, the proximity to the trees that are to the west shade the building half the time. So it's not really a great location for it. This is really a building to put those vehicles inside of. There's no work happening in there. There's no plumbing going into it. It's to keep them out of the salt air. So there's no heavy, intense energy use, and the power that's minimal that's needed for the building is coming from the main building.
And how many vehicles does it hold?
I have to check the
8 bays,
overhead
right?
doors. It's like
9
8 bays. But some of them are wider, the doors, so, yeah, you can zoom in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's just because we don't want to make the doors too big, but you'll be able to fit, a few more than what's
And they're
shown.
maintenance vehicles?
Yes. Oh, yeah, this is just for golf course equipment. Yeah. Exactly what was shown in the aerial. You saw like 2 pickup trucks and probably the back end loader, and if you go back to the aerial that you had up, Jim, so those vehicles there's a backhoe there. Sorry, I'll get pumped back. Those are all work vehicles. The staff parking is up on the drawing.
Yeah, well, that's why you can't tell from the aerial what they
Yeah.
are.
That's all the staff. That was part of the original approval for that area.
And none of those are electric? They're all
No.
gas-powered?
The staff vehicles?
No. These
pickups and
vehicles, the work vehicles.
The ones that are outside are generally gas. If they were electric outside, they would need charging. There are vehicles that are inside the building, so the lawn mowing equipment inside the building that you don't see.
Well, I do think that you should think about a charging station somewhere. I mean, it is 2023, and we are looking for sustainability, so.
One day
You
you'll
know,
wish you
no-
had them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have it,
Electric
you have no
pickups.
solar on any of this, and it would be, we try to get it where we can get it, and I understand that the new building is tucked away behind that mound, the incline.
Yeah, and just in general for golf clubs are all working on changing over their fleets to electric. But that charging will be occurring inside of the building. And it's because the larger companies, the John Deeres and everyone, they're trying to get away from gas-powered vehicles.
Sure.
So you have no problem us asking for a charging station inside the building?
Inside the building?
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's vehicles being parked in there, when we get to the building permit, certainly we would be asking for.
So we would specify it, yeah.
Well,
Just want at least
you'd,
one.
I mean, you'd want fast charging as opposed to just a 110 outlet. 'cause
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
The thing though about golf course equipment is that most don't use your standard charge point that you see at Tesla or others, because the types of batteries that they have are much different. If you're driving something that's mowing the turf on a green, the size of that battery, it would be 1/12 the size of a car battery. So that's something that you're using off of a typical outlet. If you were driving around in a big truck, then that would require something like a Tesla charging port. But the golf course equipment, not that size.
There's like levels of what you can do instead of a charging station, which we think about. There's
Mhm.
like 3 different levels. I took a class on this.
Okay.
So it could be just charger ready, like having the infrastructure to
In
put
there.
a charger in there. So you could ask for that
Yep.
too, like the basic level.
Yep.
There's a word for it. There's like 3 different,
Mhm.
being ready for something to be fitted, like everything's
Yeah.
in there, but you don't see anything.
Mhm.
And then there's the second level, which is got most of the infrastructure, but not the actual charger. So,
And some things can be just plugged into a 110 outlet.
and some things
Right.
could be plugged into 110 outlet, as he's saying, the batteries can, so.
Yes.
But I think the future is coming for these
here.
trucks to be
Mhm.
actually something you would be charging into,
Yeah.
yeah.
Parks and Rec has gone to a lot of electric equipment. It'd be
Mhm.
interesting to learn from them what all they've got now.
Oh, yeah.
I know all their blowers and
Yeah,
all the
they're-
handheld
Yeah,
equipment's
I think what
electric
he's
now.
saying, you have electric equipment, which already you can just charge it on a plug, but you're
Right, yeah.
asking for vehicle charging, which has Parks and Rec gone to
That's what
electric
I'm
vehicles.
I'm wondering, if they've
Yeah.
started to
Then it's
go
a
with
whole
their
different thing. You can get a
lawnmowers.
lawnmower, you can just plug into this wall
Yeah.
and just
I mean,
go
my-
bigger than a regular charger.
Yeah, I mean,
I have an
my
electric
maintenance
lawnmower.
Lawn people just,
I love it.
Pretty much,
they
I've got it
just,
from gas.
when they
period.
bring the stuff, they plug into my outside outlets and they,
So, do we ask for a charging station, a vehicle charging station on the interior of the building? Is that what you're saying?
But charging
charging
capability,
capabilities.
Capability,
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can, you do so many golf courses, Tony, that you should help promote that.
Oh, it's a discussion. I can tell you that in the maintenance yard, that's kind of an internal discussion, because that's just them upping their electric and refining locations for it. Most golf clubs are discussing what to do about the members that show up, or guests, and need to charge.
Right.
Tricky part about it is that, there's an aesthetic issue that happens to a lot of it, and it's also to put in a fast charging station, like you see that the Tesla has, coming into town. That's not an easy item. That's bringing additional power to the location.
Yeah, well,
It's-
some of the parking lots are now, they have 2, 3 charging
Yeah.
stations. In Bridgehampton, in the public lot, there are 3, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We put them in Park
And we're
Beach.
requiring them to,
Yeah.
we're specifying them.
But the technology is
Inside plants.
changing as we speak,
those-
because they're all going over to the
NACS.
Tesla.
Yeah, they're all going to the NACS
Ford
standard.
started it,
Yeah.
and now the other car
And
companies.
those tend to be lower levels of charging. You don't have like DC fast charging.
Mhm.
My son went to charge in Southampton. He had to leave his car overnight because
The trickle
it was
charge.
split charge. He was getting
Yeah.
7.5
Be there.
kilowatts, and he still
Yeah.
didn't get charged up. He have to charge in overnight.
Overnight.
So
That's
it's
not so practical.
it's not a public space that you have that people. Where your
Yeah.
members are, I can understand. But where this is, it seems as though if you need to have equipment, you're going to put it inside. And if you need
Yes.
to have electric trucks, you'll put it in as you get them.
But the member lot be perfect to play a round of golf while your car is charging, right?
Yeah, it's just, it's
The
coming down.
infrastructure, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of it is the cost of putting in, but then the other part of it is sticking it, you, this board saw the changes that we made to Shinnecock, and, trying to hide the parking lot, and so now you go and put large charge stations up everywhere, and it looks a little bit different. It's something that people are gonna have to get used to.
Yeah,
So
Some
for
of them are
this-
quite nice looking.
It's
I
sort of
think.
like looking at windmills on the horizon, you know?
So for this application,
quite.
you'll be infrastructure ready on the
Yes.
interior of the building
Yeah.
if you happen to get
Mm-hmm.
board lightning or whatever added to the fleet.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Well, you could take a little survey of some of the electric stations in Europe, because some of them are just quite beautiful. They're very sleek and slender, and they are not an eyesore at all. They're like 22nd, the next century.
So we can ask the applicant to equip the structure with charging capabilities.
Charging capability.
Yes, I think that's good. Yep.
Perfect. So I'll add that. Q, ag overlay district, is not located in the ag overlay district, so it's not applicable. There's no neighboring properties, that's also not applicable in architecture, which was also reviewed by ARB and approved. So with the one minor change with regard to the conservation, the energy conservation, and equipping the structure, that give you a resolution? Do you have a resolution?
No, I don't think, nope.
Take a quick look at this. I'll add that requirement for the charging capabilities.
Does Tony have one of these?
Yes. So general conditions of approval is the clearing limitation shall be staked out as it's delineated on the site plan. Engineering division should be contacted no less than 48 hours in advance during all phases of the project to inspect erosion control measures, drainage before backfilling, etc. Usual general conditions of approval, and obviously to be completed prior to signature. The retaining wall detail on the site plan. I know we didn't talk too much about this, but this one does have a retaining wall that's a part of it. Considering that's being built into the small hill. So we're just asking for a retaining wall detail. Current landowner shall file notarized affidavit indicating compliance with the condition of site plan approval as set forth herein, and any deviation shall require review and approval by the planning board. And of course, the 10 copies shall be complete and submitted to the planning board for signature upon completion.
And you're gonna put some references, would it go in here about the
Absolutely.
being charging station ready or whatever
Absolutely.
though?
It'll go as part of the resolution as well. I'll send you a copy once it's complete. Initial comments or questions?
I'll move.
Okay, motion to approve the National Golf Links of America Turf Barn. Motion by George, second by Tom, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. 5 in favor, 2 absent.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Motion to adjourn.
Sorry, you only get 20 minutes before you're back at it.
Motion to adjourn by Kate.
Second.
Second by George, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. 5 in favor, 2 absent.
This is the,
We are adjourned for 25 minutes.